that Celtic have won against Aberdeen. It is a massive challenge, as ever, as it is for virtually every team in the country when they take on Brendan Rodgers' side. So we'll see what unfolds over the next 90-odd minutes of competitive action. The handshakes all but done. The action will get up and running shortly. In between this one and the 2-3 o'clock matches, we'll build up to those games at Tynecastle and Fir Park, and we'll look back on the action from those 3 games in the Premiership yesterday. It's another busy afternoon here on Sportssound and BBC Radio Scotland. Coming up live, it's Aberdeen against Celtic with Pat Bonner, Willie Miller and Liam McLeod.
And just to underline the size of the challenge for Aberdeen, 4 times they took on Celtic last season. They managed the grand total of 3 shots on target across all 4 of those games. As the Dons players go into a little grouping to the left, the Celtic players about to go into their huddle as well after the captains Callum McGregor and Graham Shinney shook hands. Referee Kevin Clancy. If you missed the team news at the start of the programme, Aberdeen one change from last week's uninspiring draw at Amon Vale against Livingston. Johnny Hayes injured, Ryan Duncan comes in, Kellaroos in goal, Devlin, Rubidzic and McKenzie at the back, Morrison, Duncan wide, Povara, Shinney in the middle with Clarkson ahead of them, and Miovski and Duke the front 2. Celtic unchanged from the win over Ross County. Hart in goal, Ralston, Carter, Vickers, Nawrocki and Taylor. It's O'Reilly, McGregor and Turnbull, and it's Abada, Kyogo and Maida. So Sportssound here in BBC Radio Scotland. Kick-off will be with us momentarily. We're going to have a minute's silence, minute's applause it is in fact, for the former Aberdeen manager Craig Brown, who of course passed away in June. Yeah, with such sad news, he was well loved here, Craig Brown. First home game for Aberdeen and a chance to pay tribute to a man who certainly steadied the ship here after a particularly turbulent period in the club's history. It's going to be the visitors, the champions, to get things underway in the green and white hoop shirts, white shorts, white socks, right to left, shooting towards the beach end in front of what is practically a sold-out Pittodrie. Celtic kick-off. Aberdeen in the red and gold as they are this season will shoot towards the Merklyn Road end, the King Street end, the red shed, whatever you want to call it, as it goes out of play for a throw-in on this near side for Aberdeen, to be taken by one of the summer recruits, the former Livingston skipper Nicky Devlin, as he bowls it into the Celtic half where Taylor gets onto it. And now it's with Callum McGregor, who scored the only goal of the game the last time Celtic were here. It was an infamous game. It was a game Aberdeen sat basically at the edge of their own box for the full 90 minutes. And it was Callum McGregor who got the winning goal late on as Shinney battles for it in the midfield. But it is McGregor who emerges with the ball down the right-hand side. He goes. It's picked up there by Abada. Infield for O'Reilly. Back to Abada, who sweeps it back to the edge of the centre circle for Carter Vickers, who then finds Nawrocki, his new centre defensive partner. Forward to Taylor, out to Daizen Maida on this near side, back to Greg Taylor, left hand side of the box, fires it in towards O'Reilly. Rubidzic comes to meet it and clears it. Good defending. He actually did impress last week, the big Serbian on his debut at Livingston. Not too many in Aberdeen colours did on the day, as Shinnie battles with McGregor, wins it. Now Clarkson knocks it through to Miovski, attacking the Celtic penalty area. Miovski onto the left foot. Miovski's overcooked it, he goes down right in the edge of the box, and that's going to be a free kick inside the D for Aberdeen, as Miovski skipped his way back outside the penalty area. There were legs dangling there as well, so he potentially could have been challenged before he came outside the penalty area, but it is a free kick in a good position.
It is, yeah, and good play, first of all, from Shinnie, putting Callum McGregor under, real pressure, winning the ball back, and then Miovski taking the ball for a little wander, taking on 3-4 players, pulled the trigger. I'm thinking, how did the strike it go? I thought it was on for him to take the left foot and put it through him. It was a rather spectacular
dive
challenge.
At the end, was it?
Rather spectacular. I think there was contact there.
Yeah.
So I think it was a free kick. A great opportunity early in the game, and it looks as though Miovski fancies it himself, but Clarkson's there.
Miovski takes it left-footed and puts it wide of the left-hand post.
I'll tell you what, if that was on target, I don't think Joe Hart seen that ball. It came through a group of players. He's almost stunned a little bit and hoping that it was going to go past his right-hand post. It was good power, just the direction was out, but Celtic off the hook early on. But they've started quite well, Celtic trying to keep the ball, but just getting done in that little counter-attack from Aberdeen.
It's over on that far side now for a throw into Aberdeen, right in front of the Celtic supporters. A couple of thousand of them in the south stand over there. I'm not sure they'll be getting that kind of number in future fixtures at Pittodrie. Aberdeen are changing how many tickets are sold in the away, and as many clubs are doing. We know Hearts have been doing that. Polvara gives it away, and then bounced off his chest and breaks the way of Abada. It's won back by the American Polvara, who's driving forward. He's got Miovski to his right and Duke to his left. It's taken an eternity, but eventually he slips it out to Shayden Morris wide on his right-hand side. Maida's the covering player for Celtic. Now Morris level with the 6-yard line to the corner flag, and he wins Aberdeen a corner. It's actually been a pretty bright start by the Dons. They are a little bit makeshift, particularly at the back today, and at times through the middle. We haven't replaced Ramadani yet, but it's been a bright start by them, Willie.
Yeah, it has, and unusually a poor start from Callum McGregor. That's twice he's been caught in possession. This time Polvara taking the ball off him and driving forward.
There were slow starters against Ross County last week as well, where Celtic, as Leighton Clarkson takes this corner, the Aberdeen number 10, right-footed, drifts it in. Hart punches it away. Will be kept alive here by Duncan, who nicks it out to Clarkson on this near side. Clarkson bending it in with the outside of the boot, but it's too close to Joe Hart, and he holds on. We saw him tee up Bojan Miovski with a similar kind of pass here last season in the win over Rangers. 0-0 then, 4 minutes in.
Yeah, this is the part of the game I think that Celtic, probably under Brendan, will take more risk. They'll play it out of the back, they'll take their time, they'll try to suck players on. Now they've got to be really assured in their passing from that perspective, and that's down to responsibility of Joe Hart, of Nawrocki, Carter Vickers, and I think the full-backs will be also playing a little bit wider, Wooly, from that starting position.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really bright start from the home side, there's no doubt about that, and a very sloppy start, I think, from Celtic. The passing has not been accurate. They've been caught in possession too many occasions, and you're talking about taking chances. To me, that was never on for Joe Hart, to play the ball to Carter Vickers. Celtic got away with it, but it was very tight indeed.
Nawrocki under pressure from Miovski, but he's managed to nick it back to Carter Vickers, who is to go back to Joe Hart. He'll hit it first time. It's unconvincing though, but it bounces off Miovski back to Carter Vickers, who finds Hart and into Nawrocki. It's been a pretty jittery start by Celtic, we'd have to say, giving possession away at times a lot easier than we saw them last season.
Yeah, and I think it's down to Aberdeen also pressing them a little bit. That I come up here at times and witness an Aberdeen team sitting off Celtic and allow them to control the game, build it up and take their time and build themselves into the game. Yeah. Today, early on, they've gone press in midfield, press higher up the pitch. Can you continue that is the question.
Well, there's no excuses for not putting on a performance today. The conditions are absolutely fabulous.
A little bit warm,
sunshine,
though,
warm, yeah. Relatively speaking, as Joe Hart picks up and clips it with the left out onto the header. Ralston, his header is straight to Rubezic, but bounces off him and falls for Abada, who goes back down the line for Ralston. Back to Carter Vickers, forward to O'Reilly, and he passes it straight into touch for an Aberdeen throw-in.
Sloppy.
Over on the far side. It's just another example of what I was just saying.
Oh, I mean, Celtic have not started this game well, Pat. There's no doubt about that. The lack of understanding, lack of accuracy in the passing.
But Aberdeen give it away with Clarkson. Now it's Leela Bada down the right hand side, knocks it back towards Turnbull and clipped over his own crossbar, and that will be a Celtic corner. Flickered into life there, but that all came from a loose ball by Leighton Clarkson, and what you don't want to do against this Celtic team is offer them any kind of encouragement at all. And Leela Bada was right onto it, scampering down that right hand side.
Yeah, he choked his cutback actually, cut into the ground, and it kind of almost bobbled across and allowed Aberdeen to get back to clear it.
Corner taken by Turnbull into the box. It's met by Nawrocki, I think it was, at the edge of the 6-yard box. That bounced off Morris. That looked like it might have come off his hand there.
We'll check it.
I think that's bounced off Shayden Morris's hand, and the VAR today, Andrew Dallas, will be looking at that. That could well end up being a Celtic penalty. We'll keep an eye on that one. Here's Greg Taylor out on this near side, up against Morris. Play continuing for now. It's now back with Nawrocki inside his own half and into the centre circle for Carter Vickers.
Is there a period of time where it kind of just keeps going until the ball goes out?
Ball goes out, and Kevin Clancy will stop to then have his discussion.
The thing is, if they carry on from last season, the ball looked from where we are that it hit Morris's hand. There was no intent in it, absolutely, but normally these situations it would have been given. Certainly last season it would have been given.
Yeah. I don't think they're checking it. It doesn't seem that there going to be any stoppage. The ball's gone out of play, and he hasn't pointed to his ear.
Well, a few of the Celtic players were adamant, and my first reaction was it bounced off his hand.
Yeah, I agree with you. His hand was out and it bounced up.
Unless it's bounced off another body part first.
I think that's the only the only excuse. I mean, we're reasonably far away too.
There's a chance for Celtic. Turnbull, he's got it through to Abada in the box. Rubičić, good challenge. Flicked away by Duncan. Picked up by Turnbull. Out wide right for Ralston. Level with the edge of the D of the Aberdeen penalty area. To O'Reilly, back to Ralston. Celtic trying to pick their way through. Best passing spell in the game so far for them. Kyogo hits it. He's not far away. What a fabulous effort by Kyogo Furuhashi. Just to the right of the D, dinked it towards the far corner. Kellaroos wasn't even moving for it, and he was so relieved, as Joe Hart was with the Miovski free kick earlier on, that it just whistled past. It stays nothing each. We've played almost 9.
I'll tell you what's sensational. He's just moved, come out into the space around the edge of the box. The ball's cut back to him, and he just opens up with his right foot and clips it kind of almost over the top of the goalkeeper. Knew exactly what he was doing, just off target. Really sensational effort from Kyogo, but it's the quickness, the sharpness, getting into the space, exploiting the space, and then Celtic picking him out.
The VAR check, incidentally, for that penalty is complete, and they've no issues with it, so it was looked at, and we didn't have an on-field stoppage, so clearly Andrew Dallas had worked that out before the ball went out of play. So play rages on, and Aberdeen get away with one there, in particular Shayden Morris does. Kyogo picks up right of the centre circle in his own half, back to McGregor, moves it to his left for Nawrocki, and out to Taylor, who crosses the halfway line. Low ball forward to Turnbull. Celtic now beginning to assert authority on proceedings. McGregor to Carter Vickers after a slow start by the champions, as it was last week in Glasgow against County. Here's a chance for O'Reilly, right hand side of the penalty area, dinks it across the 6-yard line. Nicky Devlin heads it clear, and Shinnie with a foul over on the far side. He was heading it out of play, but he took too much of the man. I think it's Tony Ralston who he's ended up upending in front of the Celtic support. It's 0-0 at Pittodrie, still in the relative infancy.
He's not happy with that decision though, is he, Graham Shinnie? And I thought they went for the ball. I thought that it was quite a fair challenge. We're again quite far away from the incident. It was the linesman that put his flag up and indicated to the referee that it was a free kick and an opportunity for Celtic to throw one into the box.
Yeah, almost as good as a corner, albeit it's level with the 6-yard line, just a couple of yards from that south stand side touchline. Matt O'Reilly over it. Chance for Celtic, and it comes towards the 6-yard area, headed down. It's in. It's an own goal, but the flag's gone up. Flag's gone up. Dyson Maida headed it down, and it's, I think, come off an Aberdeen defender and ended up in the net before the flag went up over on the far side. And it stays Aberdeen nil, Celtic
I think it's
nil.
Abada. I don't think does he have to touch it?
That's the point I was going to make.
Just Abada got the final touch.
From the angle we're on, it looked like the ball was going to go into the net, and he didn't have to touch it. Obviously, it's been checked, but from the angle we're on, Willie, I think you're right. I think that ball was heading into the back of net with the goalkeeper beaten.
Yeah, it certainly looked like that from our angle up here, and he didn't really have to take part in that. So Aberdeen getting off with it a little bit.
Yeah, Aberdeen
there's still a check, is there?
There is a check.
It's very tight, apparently. There was an Aberdeen defender went for it as well, but it's Abada who snuck in at the back post to put it into the net. Kevin Clancy is speaking to Andrew Dallas. I think this might be given by the sounds of things.
Yeah, and just from a defending point of view from Aberdeen, it's a ball just played into the 6-yard box.
You got to win it.
Lined up, and you have Maeda, who's not the biggest. Let's face it, he jumps the centre backs.
Yeah, he gets a clear header on it.
Well, Kevin Clancy still has his left hand to his left ear. I'm hearing that he looks marginally onside Liel Abada, who has touched it home. Dante Polvara's the Aberdeen player who seems to have played him on, and this seems to be as though Celtic are going to be opening the scoring here. Kevin Clancy's now moving.
Come on, you shouldn't be taking this long.
Yeah, walking back towards the centre circle.
Yeah, it's going to be a goal.
Yeah, goal given. It's Liel Abada who takes the credit. It was headed down by Dyson Maeda, and Abada nicked it ahead of the Aberdeen defender, played onside by Polvara, and Celtic take the lead at Pittodrie on 13 minutes. Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, listen, it's a ball played into the 6-yard box, right into the middle of the goal. Goalkeeper doesn't come, the centre halves don't deal with it. Maeda gets in there quicker than anybody else, gets a good header on it, and it bounces in there on the attack again.
Yeah, and it's Maeda at the edge of the box, shoots for goal, and Kelleroos holds on. Aberdeen all at sea.
Dangerous times for Aberdeen now, Willie.
Well, it is, yeah. I think they're stunned by the lack of defending at that corner. It just shouldn't be allowed to happen. They've got enough height there. Maeda's not the biggest as well. He shouldn't be able to get that header down. And I think that's where it all starts from, doesn't it? And then Abada just getting a little touch on it, maybe taking a chance at that time. But it's gone for Celtic, and Aberdeen have got to get themselves sorted out, calm things down. As I said before, that they are very inexperienced out there as well. They're going to need Graham Shinney to just calm them down. They don't want to lose a second one, which could easily have happened there.
They've got a corner, Aberdeen, meantime. Leighton Clarkson over it. It's on this main stand side, and it comes from Clarkson, headed away by McGregor. Duncan hits it, comes off his own man, Devlin. Comes on the 6-yard line. Clarkson collects and rolls it side-footed back to McKenzie. Left-footed ball looking for Miovski, headed away by O'Reilly, breaks to Morris at the edge of the box. It's now with Graham Shinney, drags it back onto the left right-hand side of the 6-yard box, finds Duke, then Miovski with the overhead effort. The two of them got in each other's way really, and it goes well wide, and it stays Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1 on 14.5.
2 for 1 there, was it? The back post. Spectacular overhead kicks from the two strikers. Good play by Shinney, calms things down, doesn't rush it, looks up, plays it to the back post, a little bit too much on it, and Duke and Miovski couldn't get there, but managed to get a touch on it with the spectacular overhead kick that could by the post.
Yeah, and Celtic obviously taking the short goal kick. The two centre backs are on the corner of the 6-yard box. Two full backs are out in their positions. Lots of space higher up the pitch. Aberdeen's just pressed them up. So for me, I think this ball should be played almost into the area where Abada is, where there's a huge space. And Joe has got the capability. I think he does it, but he plays it high up into the air for Maeda. I'm not sure if he's going to win that one.
Well, that'll be the concern for Barry Robson, is that 5'8" Dyson Maeda was able to get his head onto that free kick from O'Reilly, as Miovski gives chase up against Nawrocki, sticking with him. Nawrocki does well. He ended up on the deck and just slips it away from Miovski as Taylor finds McGregor on the near side. Shinney with a challenge and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side to be taken by Greg Taylor.
Yeah, it was a nice test for Nawrocki to see did he have the pace. He didn't look really quick, but he kind of stayed wooded.
Yeah, he
stayed wooded, and he got his tackle in.
Long strides, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought he was losing the race, actually. I thought Miovski, with a little bit more space in front of him, was going to win that one. But you're right, the Celtic defender did extremely well eventually to clear it.
Matt O'Reilly over on the right hand side for Celtic, onto the halfway line for Ralston, who rolls it back to Carter Vickers. After the opening 5 or 6 minutes, it's been all about Celtic. The slow starters again, but they are very much in gear now as Maida is nicked off by Morris. Then Mijovski into Polvara. He's done well to knock it forward under pressure from O'Reilly. Loose ball breaks Clarkson's way, forward towards Mijovski, looking to get the break of the ball in Nawrocki. It's an intriguing battle between those two, as favours Celtic this time again, as it ends up back at the feet of Joe Hart, who plays it short to Carter Vickers. Side football to the right for Ralston.
Yeah, it's interesting just looking at Celtic's two full backs. Ralston obviously is playing very much as a full back in that wider position, giving Carter Vickers the opportunity to pass it to him, while Greg Taylor, he's the one that's still going into that inverted full-back position at times.
There's Turnbull out wide left for Taylor, level with the Aberdeen 18. Infield for Turnbull. Scored those 2 goals against County last week, so deserves to keep his place in the team, as it's slipped out to Abada, scampering away from Duncan, flicks it with the outside of the boot into the Aberdeen box, cleared by McKenzie, picked up by Celtic again. Ralston, he's gone down. McGregor plays at the edge of the area, and it's won back by Polvara, but it breaks down at the edge of the area, and Kevin Clancy brings it back for a free kick for the foul on Ralston.
Yeah, I think that's good refereeing though. I think he let it go to see if Celtic were going to get something out of the build-up, and then just pulls it back. It was a free kick. I think he's caught him, eh?
It was. It depends how long you let the advantage go though, Pat, as well. They had the advantage. It was a poor pass eventually, so do you call it back then? I don't think so. I think you let play continue.
Yeah, I just see Brendan Rodgers down here talking to Joe Hart.
Free kick's taken by O'Reilly. Kyogo right hand side at the byline, tries to dink it across, comes off the defender, and Celtic have a corner as they keep the pressure on. 18 in, they lead 1-0. That goal that they scored after the VAR check given to Leo Labada came after the shinny foul over on the far side, which led to the free kick that O'Reilly put into the box. The corner being taken from the same side by O'Reilly here. In swinger with the left coming up. Kevin Clancy's got some work to do in the box. A few altercations he's trying to diffuse ahead of this set play. And it's O'Reilly to take. Into the 6-yard box, headed away by Rubicic, only as far as Kyogo. His effort's blocked. Breaks to Duke, who finds Mijovski, who goes down. No free kick, Celtic play on. There's a daisy cutter effort there from Abada, which goes well past the reverse side of the goal from where he was shooting, past the left-hand post.
Really good block from Duke there. He was back in a defensive position inside the box. He reacted really well, because it was Kyogo onto it like a flash and got a shot away, but Duke got a good block in.
Celtic with that goal maintaining this incredible scoring record they have at Pittodrie. They haven't failed to score in a game here since December 2001. And Aberdeen won 2-0 as Carter Vickers beats Duke in the jump. Midway inside his own half, it's out onto this near side. Devlin goes down, fouled by Turnbull. Free kick Aberdeen over on this near side. Remember, loads to come on Sportsound this afternoon. We've got commentary from Tynecastle as Hearts host Kilmarnock. It's also Motherwell Hibs. Both those games kicking off at 3. There's Rubicic and the free kick down this right hand side. Shaden Morris has it up against Taylor, and a hold off Greg Taylor. Good spin by Morris, facing the byline, gets the cross in, comes off Nawrocki. Duke jumps, flicked away really well actually by Ralston, who's gone down. I think the referee's going to stop play. Took a bang to the back of the head there.
Yeah, I think that's a free kick. Yeah. Because Duke comes into the back of Ralston there. Ralston clearly wins the ball, and Duke heads him in the back of the head. He goes down. He's not injured. He bounces back up okay, but I still think that's a free kick, because Duke just went right into the back of Ralston's head. And it was a really good header under pressure, a hanging ball. Yep. He gets up really early, jumps off 2 feet and knocks it away.
Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1 is the scoreline, as Nawrocki picks up, getting it from Carter Vickers. Side football to Taylor. Taylor then out to this near side, poor ball. He was looking for Maida, goes straight to Morris, who goes back to Devlin, who feeds it in field to Polvara. And the turn back out to Morris on the near side, taking on Maida as pass goes straight to Turnbull, bounces favourably for Taylor, who plays it off Morris, and out of play for a throw in to Celtic down on this near side.
Yeah, it's been a scrappy
Yes,
game.
really.
We talk about good technicians and that. They seem to be getting caught. The passing's not great at times. It's that type of game today. It's more a battle than anything else.
Yeah, but the passing isn't good when they're not under pressure as well, Pat. It's not as if they're under pressure and they're being forced to make poor passes. It's when they've got time and it's just not accurate. I suppose it is early in the season and they're just feeling their way into the game.
Good first touch, Miovski, but Nawrocki reads the danger, slides in, wins it back, and then Morris wins it back. He goes down, free kick Aberdeen, midway inside the Celtic half, 10 yards from this near side touchline.
Yeah, it's a good position to get that ball into the box and test the Celtic defence, and definitely a free kick.
This is first against third from last season. The problem is there was 42 points between first and third last season. There's also a ginormous goal difference. Aberdeen were 84 goals worse off than Celtic last term. As Morris takes it short to Clarkson, clips it in, looking for Polvara, gets there, volleys it back across, and Shinnie heads over. He looks to the heavens for answers. He's wishing he kept that down a bit to at least get it on target, but it's over the bar, and it stays Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1 on 22.
It's well worked though, isn't it? Everybody's expecting the ball to be thrown into the box. It's played square to Clarkson. He then clips it over and Polvara's made the run. You can see it's been practice in the training field, and a little bit unlucky that Shinnie just couldn't get up high enough to get the header in target.
Shinnie finds Duncan twisting and turning to the edge of the box. He shoots, that goes high and wide, and it's going to be a goal kick to Celtic, but again it's another attempt on goal from Aberdeen. They've already looked more of an attacking threat in this game than they did in all 4 meetings between these two last season.
Yeah, the stats will probably say there hasn't been many of them in target, Liam, but the intent is there, isn't it? The intent is definitely there. The accuracy isn't.
Yeah, they've got nothing on target as yet, none last week and none in the final game of last season either, which was against Celtic in Glasgow. As Morris picks up, into the box he goes, he tries a shot, it's deflected off the defender, blocked, comes out to Maida, he's able to hoof it clear to halfway. Rubedzic with the high ball, Taylor's underneath with the header into the midfield, comes off Shinnie's head, comes off Maida's head, and then Rubedzic with a little flick out to Devlin on this near side. Long ball, Nawrocki underneath it, nods it calmly to Taylor, infield to McGregor. McGregor with the left foot, left to right of the circle for Ralston. Ralston to McGregor, to Ralston, forward to Kyogo, and then back to Carter Vickers. Kyogo has it again, first time ball. He's fouled by McKenzie, play on, Ralston, long ball, comes off the defender, breaks Abada's way, level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. Over on that right hand side, Abada looking to hit the byline, he's been challenged all the way, he then goes down inside the penalty area. I think the whistle had gone before that challenge, and it's a goal kick, I think, ultimately for Aberdeen. It's Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1 on 24.
The 2 young wing-backs have done okay so far, for Aberdeen. I think Ryan Duncan and Shayden Morris. Morris in particular going forward, he's shown a good appetite to get himself forward, and at the other side, then I think Ryan Duncan defensively has done a good enough job.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Celtic's midfield. They haven't really been able to stamp their authority on the game so far. Callum McGregor's been probably the most influential. I don't think David Turnbull has got on the ball at all in that sort of kind of almost forward position that he was so effective last week on, and that's probably down to Aberdeen.
Duke giving chase, Miovski's waiting if he can find it. Miovski scored! Really good goal by Aberdeen. Down the left hand side they came. Duke got there to the byline, pulled it back, and Bojan Miovski had a simple task to ram it past Joe Hart. And it's Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1 on 25.
It's just a fabulous run from Duke, isn't it, down that left hand side, keeps himself onside, and then the pace. I didn't think he was going to catch it, to be perfectly honest, but he managed to get there before the byline, and he looks up, he's got time enough to look up, sees Miovski, cuts it back, and it's a simple tap in from the Aberdeen striker, but it's all down to that man Duke, his movement, his pace, once he gets there, his calmness to look up, pick out the striker, and it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah, good pace, really, that's his forte, isn't it? Getting in behind defenders, using that pace. He got there, he never gave up on it and cut it back. I'm just thinking about the Celtic defence. Could Joe Hart have read that through ball?
I thought he should have.
Yeah, and then when the ball's cut back, nobody is near Miovski, and he had a simple task. So you're then looking at the pacing behind Carter Vickers. Could Joe Hart have come, and could the other centre back be in a position to cover Carter Vickers? And that didn't happen, and it was easy at the end up for Miovski.
Here comes Celtic, long ball, Rubičić heading it away. Polvara goes down, brought to the ground by Turnbull, who's going to be yellow carded by the looks of it. He's had a few of those in the game, and the first booking of the afternoon goes to David Turnbull. One apiece then here at Pittodrie.
Yeah, it's game on, isn't it? You know, and I think Aberdeen has done okay. You know, they've kind of almost mixed it up in midfield, not allowed Celtic to control that area of the pitch. And then, of course, Celtic trying to take chances at the back. I talked about risk and almost starting the game deeper, Willie, and that's what they're doing from the goal kicks, from trying to pass it out. And it hasn't quite worked for them because they haven't been able to build it through the thirds of the pitch. And then when they go and play it long, maybe they don't have the target up front with the three smaller guys, but are not able then to hold on to the ball, and it allows Aberdeen to get a foothold in the game.
Shinnie out wide left to the Celtic box for Duke, taking his man on. He's inside the area. Left-footed ball is blocked, still alive though, and Ralston heads behind for an Aberdeen corner. And the Dons goal there, scored by Miovski, was their first against Celtic since the 9th of February 2022, 2 seasons ago. They didn't manage a goal at all in the 4 meetings last season. Miovski's one cancelling out the Abada opener, and Aberdeen with a corner to be taken by Leighton Clarkson over on that left-hand side. It's a fizz delivery, it's cleared by Hart, who managed to get his left glove to it. Turnbull picks up on the near side, and Shinnie wipes him out. Not sure what was going through Shinnie's mind. There's going to be a card coming for the Aberdeen captain in a moment as it's slipped through by Abada, and it comes through to Kellaroos, the Aberdeen keeper, and he'll bowl it out to the far side. Look, Graham Shinnie plays on the edge of things. I don't think he needs to go in on that challenge though.
No, he doesn't.
He's
trying to make a statement. He's trying to make a statement.
He didn't quite catch Turnbull. I think it could have been worse for him if Turnbull had to stay down. Turnbull got up and got on with the game fairly quickly after it.
Oh, and Devlin heads it straight to Kyogo. He didn't know he was there, and Kyogo scores! Nightmare for Nicky Devlin. You cannot gift wrap a goal like that to Celtic, and to Kyogo Furuhashi in particular, the most lethal striker in Scotland. Has it passed through to him by Nicky Devlin, and he smashes it past Roos, who did get a touch. What a gift it is, and it's Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2.
He obviously didn't see him. That's the only thing I can imagine, because he should have been heading that ball back up the pitch. He heads it back behind his own defence, but Kyogo, what a finish. What a finish, under pressure from defenders trying to get back in, and he volleys it into the top right-hand corner past the goalkeeper to give him no chance. Celtic kind of almost getting off the hook and getting themselves in front again, Willie.
It's a sensational finish. I mean, it's just a dreadful error from Nicky Devlin. He obviously didn't see. He's trying to just head it back, but you've got to be aware as a defender. You've got to be, half turn. You've got to know what's happening round about you when you take a chance like that to head it back. It's a gift for Celtic, and possibly another gift is Devlin gives it away again.
Centre. Turnbull, left-hand side of the box, blocked by Devlin. His head must be swimming right now. Maida's going to pick up the loose ball inside the box. His cross, too much on it. Abada trying desperately to keep it in play on the far side, and he's done just that. Level the Aberdeen 18. Abada infield, it comes for Ralston. Ralston right hand side of the 6-yard box. Shinnie with a challenge, and Shinnie with the clearance in the end. Shinnie's challenge on Turnbull came in the build up to that goal. Was he yellow carded? I didn't notice. Here comes Duke. Miovski ahead of him. Duke's got too much in the pass. He comes right through to Hart.
The thing is, Liam, the Celtic players are raging at the referee. I actually think Turnbull had a little push on the referee. He certainly went over, made his thoughts known to him, and I think he was right in doing it because it was a late challenge from Graham Shinnie. He's trying to make a statement.
He's not been booked.
I don't know what the rules are in terms of VAR, but it might not be that VAR can intervene.
VAR doesn't intervene on yellow cards, but I think everyone in the stadium thought that would have been a yellow card.
Yeah, I think there was a gasp here from Wally, and I'm looking along the line of Richard and so on, and they all sort of gasped when he went in late and completely missed the tackle.
Aberdeen were level for 4 minutes. Celtic back in front here. Dies in Maida up against Devlin on this near side. Devlin battling with him, and eventually Maida carries it out under pressure. I think he's wanting a free kick. The Celtic fans certainly were, but it's a goal kick to Aberdeen. 31 on the clock. Celtic with a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, listen, you don't mind, up against Celtic at times to go behind when they play well and score good, but when you give away a goal like that, you're just it's so frustrating, and I'm sure so frustrating for Barry Robson watching that.
It will be. But as I've said, as a defender, you've got to know what's about you. You've got to have that awareness, and on that occasion, Nicky Devlin didn't have that awareness. Otherwise, he wouldn't have attempted the header back to his goalkeeper.
Fouled by Devlin on Maida down below us. Free kick Celtic inside their own half. He's, of course, he's a full-back, Nicky Devlin, as well. He's been asked to play as one of the three centre-backs.
He's an experienced player.
Yeah.
That's the point. He's not a young boy, and he's come here, and it's a good move for him. But you can't make big mistakes like that.
They do have another right back in the bench, or Dadian, Israel international, who they've signed on loan from Hapoel Beersheva. He's clearly not up to fitness, and I think, given they're playing Jack McKenzie, Nicky Devlin in centre-back positions today, you can tell just how out of the picture Anthony Stewart is.
But they're playing in a three, at the back. They're not playing against a double centre half in any way, so they should be able to work off that, get their body positions right, see around them, observe.
Here comes Celtic. Ralston looking for O'Reilly. Good challenge by McKenzie. Breaks back Celtic's way, and it's Callum McGregor firing it to Taylor, who finds Maida in space, clips it in, high ball towards the penalty spot. Rubičić gets a touch onto it, and then he slips, and the flag goes up on the far side anyway. And it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 on 32 and a half.
Yeah, Greg Taylor again picking up that inside, sort of almost inside right position, and then feeding Maeda, and I thought Maeda should have done better. He got into a great position and just threw his leg at it. He could have even had a shot himself inside the box, and he didn't take it on. So
Kyogo's second goal of the season as he tries to better the 29 from last term. He'll have been annoyed he didn't get over the 30 mark. He'll be wanting to do that this time around. Clarkson finds Polvara, back to Clarkson, forward towards Miovski, but it goes straight to Carter Vickers, who rolls it forward, but it's one back off Abada by Clarkson, who'd given it away up towards Duke on the 18-yard line, and he can't control, and it comes right through to Joe Hart. 2-1 to Celtic.
Good strong, aggressive play in the middle of the pitch, winning the ball. Just a final pass then, he just couldn't pick it. I think he's injured himself actually in that tackle that he's got on. He's just hobbling around a little bit. Clarkson.
Maida moving in field, driving forward. He's just a bundle of energy. He goes down as well, and that's going to be a free kick to Celtic. And I think it was Nicky Devlin who got the final chunk of Dyson Maida as he charged forward. It's going to be a free kick opportunity here midway inside Aberdeen territory for Celtic, slightly left of centre.
It's good play from Maeda though, isn't it? He takes that ball on the move, really difficult to defend against. He's driving at the heart of the Aberdeen defence. He's taken out the game, there's no doubt about that. The free kick is given, but good play from the winger.
Abada back down the line for Ralston, and in field to Carter Vickers. Packy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's going to be a situation that Maeda's going to be asked to do at times. Start wide, but go into those little areas and inside and get on the ball and then do something with it. That time he did it very effectively. I think that's something that we don't normally see him in last year doing that. It was more get the ball, knock it past the full-back and run. But I think he'll be asked under Brendan Rodgers to do a little bit more.
Long ball from Belarus. Miovski's underneath it, flicks on. It's going to break to McGregor though, nods it back to Taylor inside his own box. Left hand side of it, clears up to the halfway line. Rubičić with a header. Miovski tries to nod it towards Clarkson. He gets it past Taylor. Clarkson now to Morris. Morris attacking the box, diving header from Carter Vickers. Taylor will try and prevent the corner, but he's not going to be able to do that under pressure from Miovski. And Aberdeen have a corner on this near side in the final 10 minutes of the first half.
It's a poor header from Carter Vickers, isn't it? He's under no pressure. It's not a particularly dangerous cross into the box. He should be able to actually clear that up the park or out for a throw-in. He gives away a needless corner kick.
Brendan Rodgers down there jotting down some notes as Ryan Duncan changing corner taker for Aberdeen. Ryan Duncan will take it left-footed into the back post area. It's Polvara attacking it. O'Reilly gets there first and puts it behind for a corner on the other side.
Yeah, an in-swinger this time. from this sort of right-hand side, and it was a good ball right to the back post. I thought Matarelli actually did well under pressure, because somebody coming in behind you, you've got to get first contact on the ball, and he did, but he gave away another corner.
To be taken by Clarkson. Right-footed, bends it in, out comes Hart. He gets both gloves to it this time. Rubedzic will try and keep it alive on this near side. It's he and Carter Vickers jostling on the right flank, and then Rubedzic runs into Carter Vickers, who's able to clear with the right foot. All the way through at the Aberdeen half, where McKenzie gets onto it and he plays it back to his goalkeeper. Abada in close attendance, but Roos, first time ball to McKenzie, who lumps it away with a left foot into the Celtic half. Underneath it is Carter Vickers. Turnbull's going to get onto it on this near side. Turnbull moving infield, flipping it out, looking for Abada, headed away by Duncan. He's done well, he's found his captain Shinnie. He works it back to Duncan on the left. Duncan forward, but there's nobody down that left flank. He's asking Miovski why he didn't go for it, but he was already on his bike looking to get onto a ball through the middle.
Yeah. It's got to be a better pass from Ryan Duncan there. What his left foot, he's got to thread it down the wide area, rather than it was really a soft effort that was easily defended.
Maida to Turnbull, the edge of the box, decides to shoot, and he skews it well wide of the right hand post, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 here on Sports Sound. 37 minutes on the clock here. Abada and Kyogo for Celtic. Miovski at Aberdeen level briefly for all of 4 minutes. To come later from Tynecastle, Hearts Kilmarnock. It's Motherwell Hibs at Fir Park, and Sports Sound will be across those two games. On Tuesday, Servette Rangers with a 2-1 lead, 7:30 kickoff, that Champions League qualifier. Thursday, Hearts Rosenborg 2-1. The Norwegians lead, but that late Shankland goal in Trondheim gives them an almighty chance of progress. Hibs have an almighty chance of progress when they go to Switzerland to take on Luzern, having won the first leg 3-1 in Edinburgh. And then on Friday it's back to the domestic action, and Aberdeen in the last 16 of the League Cup there at Stirling Albion. Full coverage in Sports Sound, as you would expect. Here is Taylor down the left-hand side. Maida giving chase. Rubedzic is the covering player for Aberdeen. Maida's gone round him though. Maida with the early ball. He's found Abada. He takes a touch, shuffles onto the left, shoots, and Roos holds on. He had to go at the far corner there, surely. Had he done that, he was making it 3-1, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 on 38.5.
Oh, what a good counter-attack though from Celtic. Starts deep in their own half. Ball's played up the line, and Maeda taking on the big centre half for pace and gets around him, and then puts a really good ball into the box. Abada just indecisive, really. He could have played Kyogo in on his right hand side, cuts across and just doesn't make good execution on the final shot.
It should be a goal.
Yeah.
It should be a third. I don't know what I think he's thinking about putting it to the far corner, and that's exactly where it should have went, and he didn't, and it was straight to the goalkeeper.
Here comes Celtic again though with O'Reilly. Rolls it to Ralston. It's not a great ball though. Passed it straight to Duke, but he's in trouble at the edge of his own box. Down goes O'Reilly. Celtic trying to win it back, and eventually Kevin Clancy gives Celtic the free kick just to the right hand side of the penalty area. It's a good opportunity for them here. It was Duke got himself caught up in a fankle, and Celtic looking for a third goal, which might well push them towards the points as we approach the final 5 minutes of the opening 45.
Yeah, it's a good position. Obviously Matt O'Reilly with that left foot. It's just inside the corner of the 18, about 3 or 4 yards inside the corner of the 18-yard box, but he can whoop this ball in.
There's a couple of Celtic players over this one, an expectant away support over there in the far side. Up the back of the main stand here, with a good view of this Celtic opportunity. Matt O'Reilly and David Turnbull are the two Celtic players over it. Callum McGregor's left the scene. I think the two Celtic players over the ball are suggesting the wall's not back the full distance. O'Reilly or Turnbull? Does O'Reilly go for goal here? He's lining it up. O'Reilly with the left, dinks it for goal, and tipped over the bar there by Kela Roos. Celtic corner.
Yeah, it was almost like a lazy type shot. That's all I can say. The goalkeeper also looked a little bit lazy getting to it. He just got his big hand at the last moment and just walked across his goal and tipped it. Could he go across and catch it?
Slow motion.
Slow motion.
In comes the corner, headed away by Polvara. Here's McGregor for Celtic. He finds Turnbull. Turnbull then rolls it back to McGregor. Into the centre circle for Ralston. Nice footed ball to the right for Abada. We've got Celtic's first. Here is O'Reilly. Level the edge of the centre circle to Carter Vickers, who finds McGregor at close quarters, forward to Turnbull. A little bit loose for the pass there. Shayden Morris flipping it forward, looking for Miovski, who gives chase. Taylor sticking with him. Miovski moves in field, looking for Shinnie, who's won it back off McGregor. It's a good game, Graham Shinnie. Now for Duke on the right hand side, puts it into the 6-yard area. Miovski on the turn, lays it back to Polvara, just wide. That's taken a deflection, and but for the deflection, it's probably 2 each. Aberdeen corner.
Yeah, really good counter-attack. Again, play the ball down behind the Celtic defence in this sort of almost left-back position, and Miovski then getting into a really good position and holding it and playing the ball through, and that cut back. Thought it was good defending from Carter Vickers initially in the near post, but when the ball came back, it was just side-footed, just took that little nick by the post.
But it's Turnbull again giving the ball away under no pressure whatsoever, and Aberdeen getting a real opportunity there. Miovski doing extremely well. Pavara almost equalising.
Ryan Duncan will take the corner from this main stand side. In it comes. Polvara gets his head to it, heads it down, but into the grasp of Joe Hart, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 on 42.
It's a big unit at the back post, down to Polvara, and he's looking a real threat, and he was up there. Just disappointing from his point of view that he didn't get a good enough header on it.
And Devlin under pressure up the other end from Maida as he goes back to his keeper. Roos with a pass finds Shinnie. Shinnie skips away from O'Reilly, but then overcooks it, gives it straight to Kyogo, but it's going to be brought back. Must have bounced off the hand. It will be a free kick to Aberdeen midway inside their own half. Rubičić takes it quickly to Devlin. Forward towards Miovski. Little touch, but it was straight to Callum McGregor. Now it's with O'Reilly in the centre circle, looking to release Abada down the right. Abada's onto it. It was an early ball for Maida, but it's come off the defender and back to Belarus.
Yeah, good penetrating passes for Celtic. A good ball from Matt O'Reilly for Abada, just take on the stride, and then he just nearly gets that cross into the back post where Maeda was running and just took that little nick to take it to the goalkeeper, and danger was gone.
Well, it's been far better from Aberdeen compared to the performances last season against Celtic, and indeed the performance against Livingston last week, where they were kind of sucked into a game they didn't want to be playing.
Yeah, I think, but far more aggressive. You know, that's what I see. And when you start winning a few balls and you start putting Celtic under a little bit of pressure, you're in the game. You know, and the confidence builds.
The defence doesn't get tested enough throughout the season, Celtic, and the way they play, they leave themselves exposed at times. You know, Barry Robson is at least making an effort to try and expose them, and they're doing it really well. You know, Polvara's pushed right up on top of McGregor. You've got the two strikers up top as well. The two young wing-backs that was a little bit concerned about have done extremely well, I think, in particular Morris down the right-hand side. So it's been a really good performance from the home side.
Yeah.
Yet still they are behind, albeit Nicky Devlin. If you were to ask any player, any defender in Scottish football, who's the last person you want to put a back pass to in the opposition ranks, they would say Kyogo Furuhashi. And it was Devlin's header back towards his own goal.
His finish, though, Liam, was unbelievable.
Of course, yes.
You know,
yeah.
He just it bounced high for him too, and he had a volley it almost up around his chest.
Yeah.
Devlin with a long ball down the right of the Celtic box for Shinnie, who wins the corner off Nawrocki.
Yeah, that's working well for Aberdeen. That run in behind, you know, that penetrating ball, just play it in behind the fence, get somebody on the end of it, win your corner, get an opportunity, and it's worked well for them today.
Another corner, this near side. Ryan Duncan coming over to take again. His last couple have been pretty decent from this side, as he prepares to take this one. This will be Aberdeen's 7th corner of this first half. In the last minute of it, and it comes. Hart just gets his fingertips to it to clear it out to the far side. There will be 2 minutes of added time. Rubičić keeps it in play. It's picked up on the far side by Morris, where he runs straight into Abada, but the break of the ball comes to Polvara. Low ball across, and Carter Vickers batters it away under pressure from Devlin on the 6-yard line. Turnbull into the path of Maida, who's going to drive after that. He won't be giving this one up, and Kyogo is driving forward as well, but Duke with a really important challenge on Maida meant that he couldn't even contemplate finding his countryman on the other side of the pitch, and it's cleared by Aberdeen as Celtic head away. Here is Duncan from that previous long ball. Gets the break off Callum McGregor and then can't find Duke. And now it's with Carter Vickers who finds O'Reilly. We're in the first of those 2 minutes that were added on by Kevin Clancy.
I thought Maeda should have done better out there in the wide area. I thought he had time to get it under control. He had time to drive forward. I thought he just kind of switched off a little bit. It was a good opportunity to hit the break.
There's Nawrocki across halfway, forward for Maeda. Good challenging by Devlin. And now it's with Morris, who finds Shinnie. Out to Devlin on this near side. Miovski wants it ahead of him. It's a long ball. Miovski will chase. Nawrocki, the covering player for Celtic. And then Taylor comes in to help out his teammate. Miovski's on the ground. The Aberdeen fans want a foul given. It's not going to happen. It's Morris on this near side. 30 seconds left of the added time. Morris, Polvara, and now Clarkson at the edge of the box. Clarkson eventually gets it under control and rolls it back the way to Duncan. Left foot ball in's poor. Away by Nawrocki at the penalty spot. Up into the air it goes, misjudged by both Polvara and Abada. Polvara hooks it forward. Here's Shinnie at the edge of the area. Couldn't quite work it back towards Duke. He's so strong, he's pinched it back, clips it in, looking for Miovski. Headed away by Taylor, and then Shinnie and Polvara get in each other's way. Polvara brings down Turnbull. Free kick Celtic. It's just about half-time in any case. 2-1 to Celtic.
Mayhem in round about the Celtic edge of the Celtic box, but from both teams, Celtic not able to clear their lines at times, and then Aberdeen pressing them and that, and then ripping into each other and almost injuring each other. But half-time. Aberdeen are losing, but the reaction from the supporters is a positive one, because they've seen a really gutsy performance from their team, but it is Celtic who have the lead. Liel Abada opening the scoring. There was a VAR check for offside. It was initially ruled out for offside. That was overturned after the VAR consultation between Kevin Clancy and Andrew Dallas. And Abada was credited with the goal after O'Reilly's free kick was headed down towards him by Daizen Maeda. Polvara playing him on. And Abada stuck it home for 1-0. That goal coming on 13 minutes after an indifferent start to proceedings by the champions, as it was last week. Miovski fired a free kick just wide. Kyogo went close up the other end before Miovski did equalise. Really good running by Duke down the left of the box, got to the byline, pulled it back for Miovski, who tapped home to make it one apiece. But they were only level for 4 minutes because Nicky Devlin headed back towards his own goal. He gave it straight to Kyogo Furuhashi, and it just shows you sometimes it's always worth a striker taking a while to maraud back away from an attacking position, because it came straight to him. He still had lots to do though, as he volleyed the ball past Calarusi, got a touch, and into the net it went to restore the Celtic advantage. Aberdeen going close through Polvara just before half-time. O'Reilly had a free kick tipped over as well, and Liel Abada probably should have made it 3-1 with another opportunity. Half-time at Pittodrie in a sunny Granite City is Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2.
On digital radio,
FM,
online at BBC Sport Scotland,
your smart speaker,
and on BBC Sounds.
This is Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute.
Shall we get going?
Yes!
Summer just got even better with BBC iPlayer.
We've waited a long time for this.
Meet a head of state like no other in Queen of Oz.
This is your last chance to continue living as a royal. It's Australia or bust.
How are we going to pull this off?
Join Blue Lights for all the drama.
No one is doubting your version of events, Constable.
When you say a personal threat, they want to kill me.
And go behind bars with man like Mobeen.
I promise you, when I leave here, we ain't never coming back.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Well, it's certainly been an intriguing 45 minutes so far. Celtic have only briefly, occasionally got out of second gear, and yet might have scored 5. Aberdeen have been penned back for long periods and might have scored 4. There's been that kind of game. 2-1 it is for the champions in the first of our live commentaries for this afternoon. Remember, 3 o'clock, Hearts against Kilmarnock will be the commentary game. We'll have updates from Motherwell against Aberdeen. We'll get to both those matches, and we'll build up to them, of course, in the hour between the conclusion of the match here and the start to those ones. We'll also look back on yesterday's action. You'll be able to watch the highlights of these 3 matches and indeed the best of the action from yesterday. Sports Scene tonight, 7:15, BBC Scotland channel. In the week ahead, listen out for the Scottish Football Podcast. That's published daily, Monday to Friday. You can get it wherever you subscribe to your podcasts. And in terms of the Live action in the week ahead. Sports Sound and Sports Scene. Tuesday night, Servette against Rangers on the Champions League qualifier. 7 o'clock in the radio, 7:30 on BBC Scotland. Thursday night, it's BBC Scotland again at 7:30 for the Conference League qualifier, Hearts against Rosenborg. And then on Friday, we begin our coverage of the second round of the Viaplay Cup at Fourth Bank. It's Stirling Albion against Aberdeen. Live commentary Friday, 7 o'clock, Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. So lots to look forward to. We'll also look back on the action from yesterday in the hiatus between the live games this afternoon. Pat Bonner, I said Celtic, is that a fair comment? Celtic only rarely, briefly out of second gear. They have been toiling largely at times.
Yeah, I agree, and you know, they're not passing the ball.
I should say, and yet they've still been.
They're in the lead.
At least good enough, if not more.
And they could have scored a few more also from that perspective. You're right to say that. But they haven't. I think Aberdeen have battled hard with them. In the middle of the pitch, they've been more aggressive. They've been higher up the pitch. They've put them under pressure. Celtic obviously trying to build from the back. You can see it from goal kicks. They play it out and they try to suck the team on and try to play through them. And it's not really worked. The midfield hasn't got control of the game. I could see Hattati coming on in this game just so that Brendan likes to have his team in more control for sure, and they haven't been able to. We haven't seen enough from David Turnbull today, but to be fair to him, he hasn't been able to get those balls in those sort of kind of spaces in between the lines, which we normally we see him last week maybe on a bigger pitch, maybe, I don't know, but he certainly was more effective, and he didn't get himself into good positions. I think the threat from Celtic is almost up front with Kyogo, the great goal he scored, but also made his pace in behind at times too. But and saying that, Aberdeen's right in this game.
Yeah, they are. I think it's a very good performance from Aberdeen, and I think it's been disappointing from Celtic to be honest. I know they're in the lead, but you're expecting more. You're expecting them to control that midfield area. I don't think they have in any shape or form, and they've been really wasteful with their passing when they haven't been under pressure. Giving the ball away. Just looking at them, I think Turnbull probably the main culprit. But even Callum McGregor has given it away when he hasn't been under pressure. Maeda for me has been a real threat, and up to a point, Abada as well down the other side. Although to balance that, I think the two young wing backs have done well. Two getting forward, maybe not so much Ryan Duncan, and I feel that Aberdeen in the midfield have been brilliant. I think Shinnie is a leader in there. He's got about the Celtic midfield. He's been aggressive, maybe over-aggressive at times, but hey, nothing wrong with that.
He's playing a lot further up the field, Willie, as well, than we often see him.
He's covered an enormous amount of ground.
Yeah, made runs forward also at times.
I just wonder in the second half, is he going to wilt a little bit, because it is very warm out there. To Polvara as well, I think has been outstanding. I think he's pushed himself up on top of McGregor and trying to play off McGregor, not giving McGregor much room at all. He's been a threat at set pieces as well. He's tall enough, 6'2", something like that.
Well, we've come up here before and we've watched and we talked about Aberdeen and Celtic, and Celtic have ripped Aberdeen apart by controlling the game, passing, movement, all of that. So it's kind of almost down to Aberdeen stopping that today and working off that, rather than being brilliant themselves on the ball or passing or anything like that, but are getting, once they won it, then they're playing those balls in behind the Celtic defence. I just wondered, the big centre half, Nawarowski, should he be marking on the outside at times? He allows the centre forward Miowski to go down that side, and then he holds up, and then the runners come and they're higher up there, and they're winning corners. How many corners, Richard?
Well, 7, Liam said that Aberdeen had.
That's a threat for Celtic always when you keep giving away so many
Joe
corners.
Hart's been under pressure from every one of those corners.
Yeah, he's played all around
clear them.
Box.
He's done well. He's handled it well. Just in terms of that Aberdeen midfield, Willie, Polvara, I mean, he was so far out of the picture last season. In January, he very nearly came to Cove on loan. There was talk about that and one or two other clubs potentially. But you didn't see a future for him. And then all of a sudden, I mean, he has all the attributes when you see him there, hasn't he?
Listen, we have a Zoom call, and Bobby Clark, who is over in the States and knows Polvara, every Wednesday night he tells us how good Polvara is, but we haven't seen that until today. I think today, and Barry Robson's certainly been talking him up. I thought that they would miss Ramadani, but Polvara's come in and he's done a similar type of job, not exactly the same, but similar. He's a definite threat at set pieces. He seems to times he's run very well, and he's had a couple of efforts at the back post, but his all-round general play and you add Clarkson to that, and you add, Clarkson's guile and his quality, and then you've got Shinnie's aggression, that he's tigerish, going about the game, in the referee's ear, in the linesman ear.
Was he lucky?
I thought his challenge down here deserved at least a yellow card. So he got away with it.
He got away with it in the sense that the play then went up the other end and Celtic scored. And in the midst of that, presumably Kevin Clancy has forgotten all about the challenge.
Yes.
VAR would have looked at that as a potential red card incident.
I don't think he caught him hard enough to be a red card, but certainly a yellow card for me. He was late.
So they cannot intervene. If they say, it's a yellow, they can't intervene anyway.
Yeah,
so that's why he escaped.
Why.
So they probably agreed with Pat.
Yes. Indeed. They might have said to Kevin, remember that foul about 4.5 minutes ago? Exactly. You might want to book him now.
But he plays on
the edge.
On the edge. There's no question about that. He's aggressive. He gets himself about, and he is, as you say, the leader in that middle field. And the rest react off that from that perspective. And saying all of the good things about Aberdeen, Celtic are in the lead.
Totally.
And they're 2-1 up, and I think they will probably in the second half make changes.
Going by the warm-up Hatate was doing. Hatate for Turnbull.
I think he'll come on, and I think he's one player who can get on the ball, and he picks a pass also. He picks a pass for Kyogo, Maeda, and I think that's the change that might happen. Now, it might take away from also set pieces because he's not the biggest, and Turnbull would probably have a role to play in marking somebody. So that if Turnbull comes off, that is, and I think he might be the one, and O'Reilly would have the same job to do. So that would be maybe a bit of a risk. Especially up here with all the corners that Aberdeen are getting.
In terms of Aberdeen, the new faces, Willie, Rubizic, raw, would that be a fair assessment?
He's a proper defender, I would suggest. He's 6'2", 6'3", maybe.
He reminds me so much of another player I've seen in the past. I can't for the moment think who it is, but it's kind of almost socks down, rampaging around the pitch. Maeda has given him real issues on a couple of times. He's run out.
Maeda's
he's rapid
player. Fabulous player. And when he takes that ball in the run, it comes to him, and he just takes it. He takes it in the turn, and he's direct. And that's the last thing you want from an opponent. Someone with pace. He's direct. He's willing to take you on at every occasion. He's been their biggest threat. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's been their biggest threat. It is disappointing from Aberdeen point of view that they're 2-1 down. The Nicky Devlin back header was just a disastrous decision for him at the time. And didn't really give Aberdeen.
He didn't even head it back to the goalkeeper properly.
It was
he headed into
no man's land,
a soft header, wasn't it? It was kind of into a space. In fact, probably Roos would have had to come out his box to pick it up.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't a great header in total, unless. Maybe he had made his mind up and then, saw Kyogo there and then tried to change it. But it was just, and such a difficult time as well, when you've just equalised and the wind's taken out you by one of your own players really setting up and gifting the opposition the opportunity.
Yeah, really disappointed for Nicky Devlin because he's such a consistent player, such a consistent performer. Generally, Aberdeen looking to get back into it. Celtic have the advantage despite having very similar, I suppose, to last week in the sense that Ross County caused all sorts of problems. The big difference was Celtic did get the goals, more goals going into the break.
And Richard, you're right, and that's what Celtic have. They've got the quality up in those areas. When you give it was really a half chance when you think about it to Kyogo, because the ball bounced up high. He still had an unbelievable finish.
Two defenders
coming on top of him. But he's got the quality to go and hurt you, and that's what he did. And if you got that quality, Celtic could go through this game and probably could even win it 3-4 goals because that quality is there and that higher end of the pitch.
Aberdeen have got quality in the other side of it, Packy, as well. I mean, if he gets the opportunity to run at defenders, he's frightening, and the Celtic defenders will know that. And you could see the quality that he had in the goal, the set up for it, keep himself onside, the pace that he used to collect the ball, and then even if I'm thinking he's not going to catch that, but you know what, he caught it with a couple of yards and he was able to get his head up and pick out Majowski, and Majowski's a very clever, very, very clever striker as well. So there is threat that Aberdeen have got. I think Aberdeen, it's 9 out of 10 for me from Aberdeen, just for the fact that they're down at half time. They're 2-1 down at half time. I don't think the fans could have asked for much more from the home side in that first 45
well,
minutes.
But
they can't just go in at half-time and accept that it's been a good 45. They've got to come out the second half and do exactly the same and maybe even better.
The home fans saw more from their team in the first 5 minutes than they did in the previous 90 of that game that Liam talked about, the infamous Jim Goodwin game up here at Pittodrie.
You know how I felt about that game. I don't have to go over it.
Your anger is only just beginning to subside.
Yes.
This makes it a bit better when you watch this. I'm not surprised though that Aberdeen, listen, they've brought in new players. They've got a new manager. Aberdeen fans expect them to come up and challenge the likes of Celtic and Rangers at home in this and be aggressive. So I'm not surprised in the way that they played. Where we are a wee bit surprised maybe the Celtic haven't been fluent.
So does the eventual outcome depend on how Celtic turn up in the second half? If they actually find their straps, if they find their form, they're going to go on and win this.
Always, absolutely. If they keep the aggressive upside up Aberdeen, they keep playing them balls in, get the ball into Duke in around the corner of the box where he gets inside the box, you can't tackle him, he's got a bit of pace, and win their corner set pieces, then they're in the game. But if Celtic get control of the game, and as we see today, it's very, very warm out there, so I would think Celtic will probably have more of the ball in the second half. Can Aberdeen keep that tempo up, that aggression up in these conditions? That'll be difficult for them. And if Celtic do get control and start pushing them back, then I think they will create chances.
Right, just in terms of a couple of incidents in the first half, VAR obviously checking what eventually would be given as Celtic's first goal. Abada got a little lucky because I think the header was going in. We all felt Maeda's header was going in. Abada decided he wanted a piece of the action. As it turned out, it was Polvara's left foot that just played Abada onside. We've seen the still photograph, so absolutely 100% it was a goal. There was a bouncing ball that bounced up into Shayden Morris's armpit almost, and he kind of almost half caught with his upper arm, just in a split second. You've seen a clip, boys, penalty or not?
Yeah, I think it was a penalty, to be honest. His arm's almost out, his wing is out, put it that way, and it sort of bounces up and hits him. Now, in the old days, that was never a penalty, but in the current rules, and we've got to go be consistent on it, then I think VAR should have probably called it. At least,
where does the arm start?
I don't know. I tell you, just Liam's just pointed something out to me. And actually, if you look at that again, as the ball bounces, it actually grazes off his right knee, and then it goes up and hits his arm. So that's why there's no penalty.
That's why there's no penalty.
I hadn't actually
Who's
picked up on that.
He's got away with one there then.
Yeah,
just
I think that's what we said, wasn't it? It was an awkward bouncing ball as well, and what we thought was it comes off an arm. I think it's the upper part of the arm as well, but at the same time we thought that it might have come off another part of his body as well, so no penalty.
Well, I'll tell you, there is a bit of a surprising change here, and it has to be an injury to Cameron Carter-Vickers, you would think. Stephen Welsh coming on for the second 5. He too actually was going through a more intensive warm-up. No sign of Rio Hatate at this stage, although yes there is. Here he comes now. He has just emerged at the side of the pitch there, so he will be on, and it has to be Turnbull, doesn't it? It is David Turnbull that he is replacing. So Celtic, despite being in the front, there's an indication as to how Brendan Rodgers feels, and probably an injury to the central defender, but he's made those two half-time switches. Celtic lead 2-1. Full live second half commentary in Sports Sound with Pat Bonner, Willie Miller and Liam McLeod.
Yeah, Stephen Welsh only played 6 times last season, and his last appearance was in October against St Johnstone in Perth. It's been a long time out of the team. He scored actually in the opening day of last season against Aberdeen. It's a few minutes into the campaign. As Aberdeen prepared to get the second half underway, no changes for them. In the red and gold, they'll go right to left, shooting towards the beach end. Celtic in the green and white hoops, white shorts, white socks, will shoot towards the King Street end as it comes back to Rubičić. Long ball from him, Ralston underneath it, and Leighton Clarkson with the header up into the air. It's an easy one for O'Reilly. Here's Polvara picking up the scraps for Aberdeen and shifting it to Duncan through towards Shinnie. Couldn't get on to the pass, and it was behind for the goal kick for Aberdeen's Kellaroos in goal. Devlin, Rubičić and McKenzie. Morrison, Duncan wide, Polvara, Shinnie, Clarkson, Duke and Miofsky. For Celtic now then, after those changes, Carter-Vickers and Turnbull off. It's Hart and goal, Ralston, Welsh, Nawrocki and Taylor, O'Reilly, McGregor, Hatate, Abada, Maida, Kyogo.
Yeah, it's interesting changes from Celtic. Obviously, I would assume that Stephen Welsh is on, as Richard said, for an injury.
Here goes Shane Morris. Good play, skipped away from a couple of challenges. Couldn't find Miovski with the pass though. Blocked by Nawrocki. As Hatate picks it up just to the left of his own box. Back it to Nawrocki, into McGregor, out to the far side touchline. And it's Taylor and Povara all over him. Taylor goes down, wanting the free kick. It's an Aberdeen ball though. Over there on that far side touchline, south stand side.
Yeah, first test now for Stephen Welch alongside Nawrocki. Can he defend this? I'm looking around at obviously who else has got a bit of help. Matt O'Reilly's got a little bit of help for them with his height, but apart from that, the rest of them are all fairly small. Turnbull maybe, but not Turnbull, Anthony Ralston.
2-1 to Celtic. Clarkson's free kick, Duke with a touch, but Kyogo gets it half away. Shinnie's efforts blocked by Ralston, though the Celtic defender didn't know much about it. Duncan's under pressure from Abada, who then turns round, looks at Kevin Clancy, asks for a free kick and gets it just to the right of the centre circle. Celtic free kick. Shinnie and Duke protest, but the referee's made his mind up.
I don't know about that. I didn't think it was a free kick. I think the referee was far too quick to give it. I thought Ryan Duncan did, extremely well using, his physical strength to win that battle. So not for me, not a free kick for me.
Abada for Celtic on the near side touchline. Celtic attacking for the first time in the second half. Shinnie for the challenge, and Ralston has felt the brunt of it, and he's taken a little while to get back up, a little bit winded after that. Challenge from Shinnie. It's been classic Graham Shinnie today though, vintage Shinnie, hasn't it?
It's a really strong challenge, a fair challenge there. I think he accidentally caught him and winded him.
It was his rash challenge that led to the free kick that led to the Celtic opener. Both Aberdeen and both Celtic goals Aberdeen will feel were preventable, particularly that second one obviously. There's Nawrocki out to the left for Taylor. Good play from Taylor, skips away from Morris. Moves in field, finds Callum McGregor. Through it comes towards Kyogo, just to the left of the D. On the overlap, Taylor, low ball, Maida's in there. O'Reilly's there too, and a really important touch behind for the corner by Duncan, because O'Reilly's about to pull the trigger and make it 3-1.
Yeah, really controlled passing from Selly there. It was a really good movement from Kyogo initially, and McGregor picking him out. Here's a corner, short corner taken.
Yeah, O'Reilly to Abada, to McGregor, back out wide right for Abada. Forward it comes to Taylor, inside the box, to the right hand side of it. He turns, gets the ball in with the left, headed away, only as far as Reo Hatate. Goes down to that left hand side of the box, hangs the ball in, looking for somebody at the back post where Taylor was. Clarkson wins the goal kick off Greg Taylor. It looked like it was going to be a corner if anything, so Leighton Clarkson's done well there. 48.5 on the clock. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2.
Taylor, Celtic's best player, do you think?
I think he's done well. He's still playing that inverted fullback role, going into midfield, getting on the ball, opening up, playing the passes. From that perspective, so I think he's done well. He's had a great season last year, Wally, and he's just continued into it. I think he's developed as a player, and Brendan will probably even make him better.
It's his 5th season at Celtic. Greg Taylor, Brendan Rodgers actually brought him to the club. Remember when Rodgers left, and obviously Kieran Tierney was there for the vast majority of Rodgers' first spell. Celtic brought in the Uruguayan Diego Laxalt, and Taylor wasn't particularly popular amongst the Celtic supporters, but he has been Mr. Consistent over the last couple of years. Really kicked on under Ange Postecoglou, as he did under Steve Clarke at Kilmarnock. Throwing Aberdeen over on the far side. Devlin with it, headed away by Nawrocki. Duke picks it up, finds Povara, he tries to slip it through towards Miovski. Little touch by Nawrocki on Miovski, but not enough for it to be a free kick to Aberdeen at the edge of the box.
I think if he went down there, there might have been a bigger call.
Yeah.
He stayed on his feet, and I think the referee was right to let it go.
The pass was too heavy as well from Povara. Miovski wasn't going to get onto it. I think that is taken into consideration as well.
Ralston with a big switch of play. It's really good. He's found Aizen Maida, level with the Aberdeen 6. Back to Taylor, level with 18 now. Taylor turns it back to McGregor. Side football to O'Reilly, goes back to Nawrocki, finds McGregor. Everyone bar Joe Hart in the Aberdeen half right now. And Celtic leading by 2-1. Here's McGregor, infield for Kyogo. First time to Hatate. And then back to McGregor. McGregor finds Abada. It's better from Celtic. Abada finds Ralston in the box. Sliding challenge from Duke. behind for the Celtic corner. Good play by Duke backtracking. Ralston was about to fire it towards goal. It is another Celtic corner though, as the champions keep the pressure on.
Yeah, he just pinned Aberdeen back this time, and that's when then the movement and the passing and the control of the game. But it was a really good defensive tackle from Duke, showing another side of his ability.
O'Reilly over it. Celtic looking for a third and potentially killer goal. In it comes, flicked away, and then Shinnie completes the clearance. Looks to Ralston. Short ball to his captain, and McGregor in turn puts it out to this near side touchline for O'Reilly. Bends the ball in. Kellaroos holds on. Welsh looking to attack it. It's the Aberdeen goalkeeper. He's gone long and early. Look at Bojan Miovski. He's going to chase after it, but it's going to come to Joe Hart, who collapses onto it at the edge of his box.
I'll tell you what, it was a really good strike from Kellaroos, wasn't it? That side volley over the top of Anthony Ralston, and just the ball carried on. I expected maybe to check up, see if it was a wee bit later when it dried out. It wet the pitch just at half time, and that just took the ball that extra couple of yards, and Joe Hart was able to claim on the edge of his box.
Ralston for Celtic, infield to McGregor. Hasn't been allowed to dictate proceedings, Callum McGregor, as he likes to do, and if you can snuff out that, then you've potentially got an opportunity against Celtic. But they're beginning to get into their stride again as Miovski fouls Ralston. No yellow card for the Aberdeen striker. He clearly knew what he was doing there.
Hitate's made a difference, so early in this second half. I think it was a substitution that we all thought was going to happen. I think he comes in and he gives you that calmness in there and that control too. And I don't think Turnbull gave you that in the first half. I don't think it was his best 45. In fact, it was a poor 45 from him. But Hitate coming in there just kind of has calmed things down quite considerably.
Brendan Rodgers, Packie, will be hoping the transfer window closes without any kind of offer for Reo Hitate. He's such an important player for the way the Celtic team wants to play.
No, I think it's a great point, and he needs that for what's coming ahead.
Yeah, Bada with a cross ball, blocked by Rubičić, and behind for Celtic's latest in a long line of corners here at the start of the second half. We're in 53 minutes. Celtic leading by 2-1.
Yeah, Celtic getting more control in the second half, no question.
And O'Reilly over it. He waits to take with the left foot on this main stand side. Celtic attack the goal to the right. Into the bit of a wind has got up just in the last few moments. O'Reilly was about to take, but Kevin Clancy isn't happy with something in the box, talking to Devlin and Welsh. Is Aberdeen prepared to defend this corner? O'Reilly takes it then into the 6-yard area. It's headed away by Colvara. And as far as McGregor, now with Abad at the right angle of the Aberdeen box. Back to McGregor. Moves it with the left for Hitate. Hitate then shuffles away from Miovski. He was going down there as well, actually. No free kick as the pass is wayward and Aberdeen clear. Morris will give chase. McGregor's the covering Celtic player. Morris gets there first. McGregor brings him down, and Aberdeen have a free kick on the far side, and Callum McGregor has a yellow card.
Yeah, I think he had to probably take him down because he was getting done for a little bit of pace there, Callum. He was obviously the last player, and he's got himself booked. But he's been influential in the start of the second half, also getting on the ball in Aberdeen's half and controlling the tempo and the type of passing that he does so effectively. So.
I mean, he's obviously, Packie, a hugely celebrated figure at Celtic, but he just quietly goes about his business while others are perhaps stealing the headlines.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. Yeah, but I think that other part of the game, the defensive side, he's improved, and he had to take the booking that time.
Clarkson with the free kick into the box, comes off a Celtic head. I think it's going to go out for an Aberdeen throw-in on this near side. The main stand side, Shinnie to take, level with the Celtic penalty spot. Shinnie, he might actually leave this for McKenzie in the end. It looks as though he is. Or Duncan. It's Duncan who takes it, bowls it back to McKenzie. Not sure why Shinnie couldn't have done that. As Clarkson then clips it back down the left, but it's a misunderstanding and goes behind harmlessly for a Celtic goal kick. Aberdeen can't really get into the second half.
No, they can't, Liam. Can they? They haven't had any control of it. Celtic in the midfield have been much better than they were in the first half, and I think the amount of energy that the Aberdeen midfield put into it in that first half, the weather conditions as well, maybe just telling just a little bit, and I think Hitate coming on has made a huge difference as well.
Yeah, I think it's his movement also. He doesn't sit in the one position. He kind of always moves around looking for the ball, finding the little spaces, and then he's got the ability on the ball when he gets it.
Kellaroos gives it straight to Callum McGregor on the halfway line. Aberdeen could be caught in the hop here. Slip through towards Kyogo. It's blocked by Rubidzic. Breaks to Maida. He's about level with the edge of the D. The Aberdeen box wide on the left hand side, looking for some support in green and white. Turns it back to McGregor. Now it's Hatate. Remember, Aberdeen on a 21 game winless run against Celtic, who are unbeaten in that time. They won all but 3 of those meetings. As O'Reilly picks it up, looks to slip it through to Maida, who goes down, shoved by Devlin, bounces straight back up. Hatate across, Roos gets it half away, and Kyogo lashes it over. What a chance to potentially win the game there. And then for Kyogo Furuhashi, and he's put it over the bar. Probably scored with a harder attempt in the first half. He's annoyed with himself, last season's top scorer, and it stays 2-1 Celtic.
This time on his left foot, he just got under the ball a little bit and wasn't able to direct it on target. But again, that man Hatate involved, linking up with Callum McGregor, little passes, keeps calming it down, little 10-yard passes, getting control of the ball, and then the penetrating pass.
It's a big chance, though, isn't it? You know, you feel he's got to score. He'll be hugely disappointed that he hasn't found the back of the net with that one. But Hatate's turned the game round for Celtic, you feel.
There he goes again, Hatate volleying the ball into the path of Abada down this right hand side. Kyogo's getting himself back to his feet round about the halfway line. Celtic have others forward. O'Reilly finds Ralston, good first touch into the box, across it comes, and Maida's efforts deflected behind for the corner. Well, that looked a goal all day long, and Aberdeen right now living an extremely charmed life, and Snicky Devlin begins to make up for his error that led to Celtic's second. And if they can get back into this one, Aberdeen, they'll have Devlin to thank for that goal-saving block.
What a save on the line, I've got to say, because it was a point blank. You know, Maida was 3-4 yards out, volleys it first time, and it's just all deflection over the crossbar. Incredible.
Corner will be taken here by O'Reilly, then left-footed into the box it comes. Little diving header, breaks the way of Duncan, who just lashes it clear. It's all Celtic since the break, as we tick on to 58 minutes. Last week wasn't going well for Aberdeen at Livingston, finished 0-0. It was an insipid performance in many ways. But Barry Robson only made one change, which perhaps shows you how much faith he has in the rest of his substitutes. And it's kind of the same guys who are on. The rest are Sokler, the Slovenian striker, was the one who came on. But nobody else did when things weren't going their way. As Joe Hart clears towards the halfway line, it's Duncan with the header forward. It comes off the head of Ralston. A bit of respite for the Aberdeen defence at the moment. Miovski loses out to McGregor. Here's Hatate, and Hatate then scoops it into the path of Abada again. McKenzie, the covering player for Aberdeen, puts it out for a throw-in.
Brilliant pass, though. Another fabulous pass from Hatate. You know, what an influence he's been in the early stages of this second half.
Fabulous player, isn't he?
I think he's shown the manager that he wants in this team. That's the point, because
his nose will be out of joint because David Turnbull started last week, and then of course Turnbull scores twice, keeps his place deservedly in the team today. But Hatate, you feel, is going to be huge for Celtic this season as the ball comes into the box. Maida, a little dummy. McKenzie's clearance comes thumping off Rubidzic, his teammate, and behind for a Celtic corner.
It looked a sore one, but Rubidzic is back up on his feet. You know, it hits him right in the side of the head as well. He goes down, but he's bounced back up. He seems fine enough. I'm sure that's not the first time he's had to take a knock like that to his head.
Short corner, Celtic have it. Abad at the edge of the box, crosses in towards the back post. Too much on it for Kyogo, and it goes behind for a goal kick to the home team. It's Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2, and we are ticking towards the hour mark at Pittodrie.
Yeah, I did take that little short corner. You know, I remember doing that in the past, where somebody goes out, puts their hand on the ball, then just touches it, walks away, and then the next player comes out and he's almost free to run in with the ball, and that's kind of how they worked it, and it's effective. The referee needs to be tuned into it, though.
I remember watching Rail Hatate's debut for Celtic against Hibs at Celtic Park. It was outstanding, one of the best Celtic debuts in the last few seasons. Just ran the show. It was a mesmeric performance. Remember another spectacular Celtic debut from the current Aberdeen manager, scored from a free kick at Pittodrie with his first touch against Aberdeen as a Celtic player, as the Dons do a bit of attacking, but a cross, low ball from the right into the box is easily cleared, and it was out of play on this near side off a Celtic player for an Aberdeen throw-in, which Duncan will lead for McKenzie. Barry Robson pretty animated down there.
Yes, for all Celtic's great play in the second half and creating chances, they haven't been able to put the third goal away, and Aberdeen are still in this game.
Ljubičić, the long ball with the right. Duncan's going to give chase here. Ralston's the covering player for Celtic. Can Duncan keep it in? He can. He's played it along the line. He's been caught there as well. That's going to be a free kick to Aberdeen, right on the byline, on the left-hand side of the Celtic penalty area.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a chase between the two players. It's right on the byline. The two of them's almost going, and whoever gets to the ball first is going to get the free kick. And this time, of course, it was Duncan.
Yeah, he definitely got there first. I mean, he puts a cross in, into the box as well, and it's Ralston, isn't it?
It was Ralston, yeah.
Takes him out. So it's a definite free kick in a good position for Clarkson to deliver. Normally his deliveries are top class.
Hearts Kilmarnock, Motherwell Hibs to come at 3 o'clock here on Sunday Sports Sound. Just under half an hour of the 90 minutes left here at Pittodrie, where Celtic continue to lead by 2-1. Aberdeen free kick though, into the box. It comes from Clarkson, punched away by Hart. Shinnie's touch is going to take it to Hatate. He's able to clear his lines, and Celtic will be able to push out now. So McKenzie rolls it back to Roos. The Aberdeen keeper, all in yellow, goes long with the right foot. Clarkson's going to give chase. Is he in an onside position? Good first touch by Clarkson, facing the Celtic penalty area. Into the box he goes. He shoots wide at the right hand post. He's unlucky. Brilliant first touch by Clarkson. And when he went in there, he was trying to find that far corner. We were right behind it, and it just goes past the post, past by a foot, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 on 62.
That's a very good effort from the youngster, isn't it? He gets on his right foot. He's driving, he's running at pace as well, but he's got his head up. He knows exactly where he wants to play it, towards that far post. He just doesn't get the accuracy. And Celtic, really rushing out defensively. I can't understand why they did that. It wasn't as if they were in a line either, and Aberdeen, and it wasn't just Clarkson. There was another player as well that beat the offside trap as well. As a really
totally agree, Wally. I couldn't believe what I was watching. They just ran up as a line, and they were all in the centre of the pitch, and Clarkson was away free out in this left hand side. Nobody taking on the responsibility of organising that.
Brendan Rodgers protecting a 100% record here at Pittodrie. 5 wins out of 5 in his first spell as Celtic manager, and the last one was a fairly bonkers conclusion to it. It was a 4-3 Celtic victory. Scott Sinclair scored a hat-trick that day. Edouard got the other one. Aberdeen were pushing them that day. Celtic emerged with the 3 points, which they generally do here. They have done for a while now. It goes out of play for a throw-in. It's more than 5 years since Aberdeen tasted a victory over Celtic. The previous longest run without a win was 18. As it stands, that will extend to 22. And Aberdeen still have time. Here's Duke, just outside the centre circle, looking to knock it through to Miovski. Out comes Joe Hart, who does well. Reddick comes out and clutches on the 18-yard line. Really good goalkeeping.
Yeah,
Stays 2-1 Celtic.
Better from Joe Hart this time. I thought that's what he probably should have maybe done with the goal that they lost, but this time he read the situation really well.
Clarkson back to Polvara for Aberdeen, forward towards Duke, read by Nawrocki though. And he comes away with it, the Pole, but he gives it away straight to Shinnie. Sloppy from Celtic. The Celtic manager's not happy with that. Duncan's cross ball's cleared by Welsh. It is Jack McKenzie who controls on the halfway line. Left-footed ball forward to Shinnie, waits a while, looked as though he waited too long. With O'Reilly in close attendance, gives it to Duncan, who gives it straight back to Celtic. 2-1 to Celtic on 65, just about. There's Callum McGregor. Left-footed ball, Keogh goes in a bit of space. Left-hand side in the Aberdeen half. Maida wants it ahead of him. Forward it goes. Devlin trying to stick with him. He does really well. Devlin nicks it back to his keeper, who clears first time with the right foot. You got to really be quick to stick to Daiza and Maida, and he was. Here comes Celtic again with Taylor down the left. His ball in to the box is deflecting, then Maida tries to get onto it, comes off the defender and goes behind for the corner, says Kevin Clancy. Aberdeen felt that was a goal kick. It is a Celtic corner though on 65 minutes here, with Celtic leading by 2-1, and the Aberdeen supporters will have a minute's applause here for a Don's fan who passed away just in the last week or so. And Bob Cowie was 65, and on the 65 minute mark The Aberdeen supporters join together in a moment of tribute. The Celtic take the corner. McGregor's effort from the edge of the box, deflected through to Kellaroos, who holds on, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2. Long ball from Roos. Miovski chasing all the way, but Joe Hart will come and claim again. Barry Robson tells his players to push up. 2-1 Celtic, heading towards the final quarter of this one. Celtic next in action in the League Cup a week today when they take on Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. The holders of all the major trophies, once again their world record treble last season, as Welsh collects and finds a tatty. Here's McGregor back to Welsh.
Yeah, that link-up play in the middle of the pitch is the difference in the second half between Atati and McGregor. They're technically really good and they're able to suck players in, little pass, and to get round you.
There goes Abada down the right, up against Duncan, level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. Abada's low ball short to Ralston as it pinched off him by Duke. He gets away from O'Reilly but runs into Abada and it breaks to McGregor. McGregor with a delicate ball into the box, but Roos will claim ahead of Maida, and it stays Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2.
Yeah, it was too high, wasn't it? That little clip. You can see what he's trying to do, pick out Maeda down that left-hand side, but the pass wasn't good enough from Callum McGregor. Just too high and an easy one for Roos to come out and collect. I think Aberdeen are coming back into the game, though. I think they were dominated for most of this second half by excellent midfield play from Celtic. But slowly they're beginning to get a little bit more of the possession, a little bit more of a threat going forward.
Well, Rubizic had a little look over his shoulder when that ball came back to him, and he would have spotted Kyogo waiting again. Well, he gets rid of it as Duncan picks up wide on the left, moves in field. Abada slips. Duncan has a bit of space to work in into the box. He goes and then he drives it straight off Ralston, and he goes out for an Aberdeen throw in on this near side. Promising again, but the end product not there for Ryan Duncan.
It's better. I thought he should have put it into the box. I thought he should have drilled it into the box a little bit earlier rather than narrowing the angle for him, making it easy. I think it was Ralston that came out and made the block, and he's overhit it a little bit as well. But he's had a good game, I think, Ryan Duncan. I think he's showing signs there that he's got physical presence. He can use the ball. He's got the confidence of getting the start here again this afternoon.
I think
problem for Celtic.
I think he's going to be off. I seen him just on the halfway line a couple of minutes ago, reaching down to his ankle, his shin. He's sitting down now. The physio's on. I think they're going to make a change here, which would be a huge loss to Celtic, considering how effective he's been in this second half. He's changed the game for them from a control point of view. And that. So,
they're going to make the changes. It's going to be Hyun-Jun Yang, who looked pretty lively when he came on against Ross County last week, one of the new South Korean signings, and they're going to bring on Odin Thiago Holm, the young Norwegian, another summer arrival. So double change coming up for Celtic. Aberdeen, their bench, two goalkeepers on it, Richie and Duan, former Celtic youth goalkeeper, and then they've got Barron, Sockler, Bizowan, Stewart, Milne, Daddy and Babbage. There's no sign of any changes for Aberdeen. This little break has allowed the players to come on and take on some fluids in what is a really warm, sunny day here in the northeast. 21 minutes to play, and it's Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2.
Yeah, that's a massive blow, I think, for Celtic, Wally, when you see a player of that quality and the effect that he has now having to leave the pitch.
Oh, without doubt, he definitely turned the game in the second half. The control was back again in the midfield area, so a massive blow for Celtic, and Aberdeen will be hoping to benefit from it, I'm sure.
Abada's coming off as well. Yang will replace he, and Holm comes on to take the place of Hatate, who'd in turn taken the place of Turnbull, who played the first half for Celtic today. Their clock's about to hit 70 minutes. This change is made. Odin Holm came in from Vålerenga, and the Norwegian top flight helped them to a 6th place finish last year. He signed a 5-year deal. He can play defensive midfielder, he can play attacking midfielder. He's very versatile in the engine room. Seems like an eternity ago Aberdeen won this throw-in, which will be taken on this left-hand side by Devlin. Long, bold ball into the box, but he gives it straight to Hart, who collides with Stephen Welsh, and there might be some treatment required here to both players. They both went for that long throw-in by Nicky Devlin. Another stoppage in play here. Joe Hart has the ball in his gloves. I think he'll be okay. Stevie Welsh is fine.
Yeah, he just went for it awkwardly, didn't he? And maybe a late shout from the goalkeeper on Stephen Welsh, just couldn't get out of the road, and he's kind of almost flipped himself over, landed heavily, but he's okay.
Aberdeen will find out this midweek who they will face in Europa League qualifying. They are into the playoff stage, of course, where they start, and it looks as though it'll be the Swedish team Häcken, who they beat a couple of years ago, beat them 5-3 in aggregate, a 5-1 win here. Make the sweat a little bit in Sweden. They are in charge of the tie, having won 3-1 at Žalgiris Vilnius in Lithuania on Thursday. And the Dons will find out who they are playing. Guaranteed Conference League football, but that is an extremely favourable draw when you consider they could have come up against Olympiacos or Genk or Slavia Prague, so they've won a watch with the playoff draw. And I just feel if it's the Europa League, they really have to spend the money, because you don't want to be embarrassed in that tournament. There's some huge names. We saw what Liverpool did to Rangers last season, and they're going to be one of the top seeds in the Europa League. As Duke back heels it to Clarkson, through towards Mijovski, too much on it again. There's been a few of those as Ralston nips in ahead of the North Macedonian, and he goes out to play for a throw into Aberdeen on the far side. 18 to play, 2-1 to Celtic.
They've edged themselves back into this game. I thought it was looking like they had lost any chance of doing that, but Aberdeen have certainly slowly, gradually, got a grip of Celtic, and slowly and gradually creating opportunities and chances, and at least making the Celtic defence think.
One thrown into the box, comes off the head of Welsh, nodded clear by Yang. Here is Duncan, out to Duke, wide in the left of the Celtic box, taking on Ralston, finds Duncan, who fires it across the face of Joe Hart's goal, and it's booted away by Nawrocki, and out for an Aberdeen throw-in on this near side. Duncan takes it quickly to Clarkson, and then wins another throw-in off Yang immediately. It's a bit level with the Celtic penalty spot.
Again, a big threat down that left-hand side. Very, well drilled ball into the box as well. Difficult to defend.
Tati Polvara picks up, poor ball from him though, gives it straight to Ralston. He clears, now it's with Kyogo, struggling to control it, but eventually he manages to knock it back to Taylor, who can't keep it in play, and Aberdeen have a throw-in on the far side. Celtic a little bit disjointed just now with those substitutions being foisted upon them. It's not helping.
Yeah, absolutely, and when they were in top, they were in control, they were passing it, they were getting a hold of the ball. Now they just can't get a hold of it, and Aberdeen's edging themselves higher up the pitch, putting them, and anything can happen when you get the ball down and you get a cross in and you get players into the box.
Clarkson with the ball into the box. Mijovski flicks on, but it comes right through harmlessly to Hart, who will underarm bowl it out to Ralston on this near side. Ralston getting it under control, and then back to Welsh, and then back out to this near side. Comes to Callum McGregor, who gets it from Ralston. McGregor to O'Reilly, under pressure from Shinnie, who wrestles the ball back off him. Too much in it. Kevin Clancy gives O'Reilly the free kick, which Celtic will take momentarily, and it's Callum McGregor who's over it. A little over 15 minutes left at Pittodrie, with Celtic leading by 2-1. We'll get the team news very soon from the two matches kicking off at 3 at Tynecastle and Fir Park. bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland if you can't wait until we go to the respective grounds after we're done here. We'll be dropping in the next 10 minutes or so. Try to play for a throw-in to Aberdeen midway inside their own half over on that south stand side. Certainly seems to be possibly a goal in this for Aberdeen if they take an opportunity that might well come their way. I think they are going to make a change. I think Sockler is going to come on.
Yes, I think Celtic are back struggling again to gain control. Maybe shouldn't be surprised at Tati going off. He made the change, that's for sure, in the second half. And Aberdeen getting far more of the ball than I expected them to see them getting in the second half. And they've got that threat. Two very good strikers. Clarkson in the midfield, very creative too, and Shinnie, who I thought might have waned a little bit, is still as aggressive as ever.
Mackenzie under serious duress from home. He manages to get it back to his keeper. And it's Roos, the edge of his box, launches it forward with the right foot. Ralston's underneath it, heads it forward, bouncing ball in the midfield. O'Reilly stabs it forward, Yang gives chase. Mackenzie gets there first though, and he dumps it out for a Celtic throw-in down on this near side. We'll be seeing the Slovenian Ester Sokler on in a moment. That was the only change Barry Robson made last week. At least it was the only substitute he used. That comes back to Hart. Short ball to his left for Nawrocki. And it comes to Taylor. Forward towards Kyogo, gets his head to it. Can't find a teammate, comes right through to Mackenzie. He goes back to his goalkeeper. It's that Nicky Devlin error and the Kyogo finish that's separating the teams right now. Long ball which Nawrocki eventually deals with. Rubičić beats Kyogo to it, but in turn gives it straight to Odenholm, who rolls it out to the left for Maida. Up against Devlin. Maida fancies his chances, driving forward. Good challenge by Devlin. Not once but twice. Finds Morris, who we've not really mentioned too often in the second half. Shayden Morris, the one bit of skill early in the second half to free himself of a couple of men down that right hand side. Not really seen too much of him since then. And Ester Sokler is going to come on to replace Duke, who he's another Willie we haven't seen much of in the second half.
No, you haven't. He drifted out the game, but you know, Aberdeen have drifted out the game in the second half as well. Fresh legs perhaps. Sokler coming on and Duke having to go to the bench and get a little bit of respite, and you know, but they need that threat up top. Sokler, I haven't seen enough of him to suggest that he is that threat, but obviously Barry Robson putting his faith in him.
I think Barry Robson is impressed with how he presses the game. We'll wait and see. Clarkson gets it clear into the Celtic half, but it comes to Welsh. They do have a new signing arriving tonight, Aberdeen, James McGarry, New Zealand international. He apparently jets in this evening. Left back is a position that they could be doing with strengthening anyway, as Ralston goes back to his goalkeeper. Just over 12 left, 2-1 to Celtic. Here is Ralston, Shinnie putting him under pressure. Down goes Ralston, Shinnie with a challenge. He's obviously got some kind of immunity from prosecution this afternoon.
So, yeah,
Shinnie.
He's done a deal.
Yeah, there's something going on there, because how he wasn't booked for a foul on Turnbull in the first half's beyond me. That one there is arguably a yellow card as well.
Yeah, he was late again,
and even the free kick he gave away for the first Celtic goal, actually.
Yeah, Tony Ralston just flicks the ball over him and he catches him and he goes down. Maybe not a lot in it, but enough to suggest that he could end up with that yellow card, considering the fouls he's had in the game so far.
Jack McKenzie's underneath a long ball forward. It goes out for a throw into Celtic on this near side. Fast approaching the final 10 minutes of the 90.
Yeah, Callum McGregor was pointing out to him the tackle that he had down here, as well as that tackle, to the one that he got away with. It should have been a yellow card.
Here is O'Reilly, goes back to Welsh. A bit of a hush descending upon Pittodrie as the supporters around the stadium negotiate the final 10 minutes and what may or may not happen. Ralston back to Welsh. He clears his lines. It's going to go out of play for a throw-in on this near side, which Mackenzie takes quickly to Duncan. Back to Mackenzie. Mackenzie does well, spins away. Left-footed ball's poor though. Welsh will have that, and he clears it. O'Reilly will then take over. A bit of keepy uppy from Matt O'Reilly, really good play. Finds Yang, back to O'Reilly's long ball forward, and right through to Kellaroos, who clears. Side foot high into the air. Won by Odenholm. His header goes straight to Clarkson, who clips it forward, looking for Sokler, who's going to get onto it. Hart's committed himself! Sokler brought down by Joe Hart!
I think he's offside.
Flags up though! Flags up for offside! So Hart will breathe again here.
Wow.
He's got away with it. He made the wrong decision. He's obviously come, the ball's held up. A little bit of breeze is now sort of kind of swirling around Pittodrie. He probably, but has certainly got away with it, Joe, that time, because he made the wrong decision. He was never getting to the ball and he brought the player down. But they're checking it.
Yeah, they're just making sure that he was offside. Apparently he was, so this check won't last too long. Joe Hart's having a little nervy look at Kevin Clancy here. He's off the hook officially now, Joe Hart. But Kevin Clancy
What's wrong with that?
Oh, what is wrong with that? He wants to speak to the Celtic goalkeeper. He's released the ball. I thought the referee said get on with it. Play on. And he does. And play stops. And Kevin Clancy has a chat with Joe Hart. And I think the ball was played out over this near side. They don't know what ball they're using now. It's a bizarre few seconds there.
Yeah, just
80 on the clock, 2-1 Celtic.
That slows down the game also, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it takes the momentum out of it from Aberdeen's perspective. But Celtic, if they get out of this one with this result, they'll be delighted because they didn't capitalise on it when they were on top in the second half.
Yeah.
They didn't really get that third goal when they had chances, and it's allowed Aberdeen just to have a real chance still to get something out of it.
A lot of last-ditch stuff going on early in the second half, wasn't there? And Kyogo Furuhashi really should have made it 3-1 as well. Short throw in Taylor towards Kyogo, but Aberdeen have won it back. There's a foul, but Aberdeen are going to be allowed to play on. Polvara's long ball. Miovski giving chase. Shinnie's getting up in support. Sockler's in the middle. It is Miovski. Just lays it back to Morris. The right angle of the Celtic box. Morris then goes on the outside. Flip ball in. They want a penalty for handball. There'll be a corner only though. 2-1 Celtic. Aberdeen pushing for a second equaliser.
I think it was a wishful shout that time. But you would get that reaction. You always get that reaction.
Sometimes the wishes come true.
Ryan Duncan will take the corner right in front of the Celtic supporters over there on that far side. Aberdeen attack the goal to the left. Duncan underneath it with the left foot, and it comes. A decent delivery. It's flicked away out to this near side. It's going to be a throw-in, I think. Yeah, throw-in down with the corner flag for Aberdeen. Shinnie shows for it. Clarkson though.
I've got to say, a great header from Stephen Welch there, defensive header, under pressure, up against big centre half, and he out jumps him, gets a flick away.
Devlin will take a long throw into the Celtic box again here from this main stand side. Pulls it in, headed away by Welsh again. Stan Wilson's coming on. Duncan's header nodded away by O'Reilly out to that far side where Taylor will lump it clear up towards Kyogo. Might break Celtic's way here. Yang can pop it through to Maida. Maida's through here. Chance to settle it. It is Daisen Maida. Saved by Roos. Well, if there's one part of Daisen Maida's game you can criticise, is that he doesn't finish often enough. And that was a gilt-edged chance to seal the game. Here comes Celtic again with Taylor. Short ball to the left-hand side. Chance here for Yang. Pulls it back and O'Reilly strokes it into the net. And the champions will win yet again here at Pittodrie. Aberdeen have been up the pitch hunting an equaliser. Celtic flash forward and Matt O'Reilly side foots it past Kellaroos. And it will be Aberdeen 1, Celtic 3, and the points all but secured.
Huge goal for Celtic in these dying minutes, just to take the pressure right off them. Initially the chance from Ed, he was never under control. He couldn't get a ball out of his feet. Goalkeeper made a big save. He'll be annoyed that, and the resulting, second phase you could call it, that they end up scoring a simple goal, which is just a cutback. And there's Aberdeen about 2 or 3 players around that could have maybe intercepted that ball. It comes to Matt O'Reilly, and he was never going to miss with a finish low into the back of the net.
It's a good cutback though, isn't it, from Young? The minute a player hits the byline and you've got support coming from deep and the cutback is accurate enough, then the likelihood is it's going to end up in the back of the net. It should have been in the back of the net with Maeda. It should have been. And it's a lack of concentration defensively from the Dons. They fought their way back into the game. They've been aggressive. They're in again, are they?
Yeah, Kyogo chasing. Roos will get there at the edge of his box.
But you need
short to McKenzie. He's fouled by Yang. Sorry, Willie.
You need to be concentrating. At this level, you have got to be organised and concentrated. When you're throwing players forward, when you're trying to get into the game, when you've turned the game around a little bit in your favour. And Aberdeen weren't organised and they weren't concentrated. They allowed the first chance through Maeda, and then the second opportunity, from O'Reilly. 3-1. Another victory for them at Pittodrie.
Yeah, 5 minutes to play. Matt O'Reilly, 2 goals in 2 games. Took his goal against Ross County really well last week. And that one there was a simpler finish. The referee has stopped play. Rubidic in possession as a Celtic player down. Over on the far side, it's Greg Taylor who took the ball, I think, flush. Not in the face. I don't think it was a head. knock. And Celtic prepared to bring on James Forrest. Willie, one thing as well that's standing out to me is Barry Robson not using his substitutes. I mean, Sockler came on last week, came on today. There's no sign of any other changes.
No.
Does that mean all these guys are out of the picture? I mean, or Daddy is maybe just not fit. But the likes of Connor Barron, Vicente Bazawan, Anthony Stewart, are they just persona non grata now?
Well, Bazawan had these issues last season, that's for sure. Connor Barron hasn't decided whether he wants to stay at the club or not, so there's doubts over his future.
Forrest for Kyogo, by the way.
Anthony Stewart, well, they just want to move him on, don't they? So I think that tells its story. The rest are kind of youngsters there in the new player, of course. You've got Jack Millen and Alfie Babbage or Dadia, who really obviously isn't fit enough.
Ball forward towards Sockler, looking for Miovski, headed away by Ralston. 86.5 played, and this game is done. Celtic will begin their title defence with back-to-back victories. And this one will come after some hard work. It was the same against Ross County last week in a similar sort of match, actually. Aberdeen have perhaps had longer spells where they've been in the game than County did last week. County began really well and a spell in the second half too. It's similar games, and it's going to take a while. It's a new manager coming in, albeit he knows the club. As Devlin comes forward for the Dons, gets the cross ball in, headed behind by Ralston for an Aberdeen corner. And of course, that Celtic third goal came not too long after Joe Hart brought down Sockler at the edge of the box, and the offside flag saved him.
Saved him, absolutely saved him. But that's the nature of the game, and you've got to then, as Wooly said, you have to defend properly. You can't just. I think there was about 3 or 4 players.
Corner comes in, headed away by Maida at the near post, helped on its way. Celtic get it away through Forrest, and Celtic will have a free kick. And it's Yang who's been upended. Is that Shinnie again?
No, it was Mackenzie.
Tiller's in the way for me, Willie. It's
Jack Mackenzie. I didn't see too much wrong with the challenge. You know, the referee making the decision. It was 1v1 as well. Maybe at 3-1 you've got to take that little chance.
3-1, but 2-1, Wally, when you're still in the game. Because when you look back to the goal, there was almost 3 players v1 at the back and on the halfway line, if I can remember it properly from Celtic. On the initial Maeda, the one that Maeda had the big chance, and that's where the goal then resulted from that.
Aberdeen missing Rhys Williams, who, I say missing, hasn't played for them in a competitive game yet. Brought in on loan from Liverpool, really promising player. He's injured. Angus MacDonald, of course, injured. Johnny Hayes couldn't play today.
I don't think Williams has seen much of the North East, is he? Is he not back down at Liverpool getting treatment?
Not sure when Aberdeen are going to see him. We might well have to look at strengthening in that department as well. No Liam Scales at all in the Celtic squad today. He was involved in all their pre-season games. I think Brendan Rodgers was liking what he's seeing. I just wonder what will become of him. He was on loan here last season, and I know Aberdeen are very interested in bringing him on a more permanent basis. Celtic are close to signing another centre-half by the looks of things. It's a long ball towards Forrest. He drives forward, he goes down, he's wanting a penalty. Just inside the box he was. No, says Kevin Clancy, but in the 90th minute, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 3.
Yeah, I think that would be a good signing for Aberdeen if they can get him back in some shape or form. Liam Scales, you know, it gives you that left side of the 3 or the left back or the wing back. So, you know, it would give Barry Robson, plenty of options, and he did well last season.
Yeah, and because he's left-sided too, that's a real bonus. You know, he can play out, and he's balanced. He balances the back 3 if that's what they're going to play with.
Here's Celtic with Taylor. Lovely little pirouette from Taylor away from Ljubičić, where he runs into Morris. Polvara scoops it forward, looking for Sockler, headed away by Welsh.
He's done well, Stephen Welsh has come on. He looks composed. He's had some really good headers, defensive headers.
Considering he hasn't played for so long.
I think he'll get a real boost with Brendan coming back. With new manager, 4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes added.
Yeah. But I think so. I think he'll get a real boost from that. His confidence will go up, and he'll see that he has got a wee chance to get into the team. Even though they might bring somebody else in, he's shown today that he can actually go into the team and perform.
This is Odin Holm down the left-hand side. Celtic have it with Forrest. Jinks in field, finds Holm again, tried to return it to Forrest, blocked by Rubedzic. This is Morris, well won back by Holm, but he's put it out with the tackle for a throw-in to Aberdeen on the far side. We're in second half stoppage time here. Hearts Kilmarnock, Motherwell Hibs to come, 3 o'clock kickoffs. And a chance for Hearts certainly to move 5 points clear of Aberdeen after just 2 matches in the Premiership. Those two were battling for third up until the penultimate game of last season. Hibs looking to respond to defeat to St Mirren, albeit they did that handsome against Luzerne on Thursday in that Conference League qualifier. They go to Fir Park, who with Motherwell and Stuart Kettlewell seeming to be a bit of a dream team. That's not going to be an easy match for Lee Johnson's side. Here's Odin Holm, he's skipped away from Rubedzic, looks up at the box. Celtic going to finish with a flourish here. Forrest across, cleared by Duncan and out of play for a throw into Celtic on the far side. If it went 4-1 Celtic, you would feel that would be slightly harsh on Aberdeen this afternoon. Celtic will feel 3-1's just about right. Not again being at their best, but it doesn't matter if it's 3 more points in the bank.
Now that period in the second half, I think when they controlled the game and they looked with Tati on the pitch, they looked really a good team at that point. The rest of it has been workmanlike, let's put it that way.
Yeah, very much so. Disappointing midfield, I think, for the majority of the game until the second half, until Tati.
Callum's done okay. He's alongside of Tati. He worked Callum McGregor.
But I think he needed Tati.
He needed Tati to help him. Yeah.
I think other than that, with Turnbull in there, it just wasn't working, was it? Maybe not his strength playing to the total football side of things. He maybe wants to get forward and get himself in the box, but when Hatate came on, it changed again.
Highlights on Sports Scene tonight, 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel, repeated later on BBC One. And of the other 2 games, as Aberdeen do some attacking in the dying embers of this, we're about to go into the final minute of the 4 that were added on by Kevin Clancy. Long ball up towards halfway, cleared by Celtic. Rubedzic takes it down up against Maida, and he wins the throw-in off Yang on this near side. The game petering out from an Aberdeen point of view. Celtic will have the job officially done 60 seconds from now. Duncan with a quick throw looking for Shinnie. Welsh, slightest touch, and Odin Holm whacks it away with the left foot, and that will be picked up by Shayden Morris on the far side. Let's go out for the throw-in just inside Celtic territory. Short throw into Rubedzic and back to Morris over on the far side. He shuffles away from Maida, infield to Rubedzic again, and then back into the centre circle for McKenzie. McKenzie out to Duncan on this near side. Left-footed ball is pretty aimless. It goes out into the main stand for a Celtic throw-in. This near side. I have to say, when you looked at the Aberdeen starting 11, Willie, you were quite concerned about what you were about to watch. They've probably surpassed your expectations in that regard, despite the 3-1 defeat.
No, they have, yeah. I think McKenzie has done extremely well. Ryan Duncan too. Fulvara, mostly the first half, I thought he played extremely well. So I think when you add that, and Morris, I thought first half was very good.
That's it, it's all over. Victory for Celtic, who begin with back-to-back wins at the start of their title defence. They made to work at times, but Brendan Rodgers will be elated to be going back down the road with all 3 points, which on paper, going by last season's league positions, will be their second most difficult fixture. And yet they weren't at their best again today. But it is victory. The opening goal scored in 13 minutes, Leah Labad, after Shinnie gave away a free kick on the far side touchline. O'Reilly's free kick found one of the smaller players on the pitch. Dies in Maida, nodded it down into the 6-yard box, and Abada poked it home. It survived an offside decision by the linesman on the far side because of the VAR check, and it was 1-0 to Celtic. It was 1 apiece on 25. Good play by Duke down the left of the Celtic box, pulled it back for Mijovski, who tapped home, and it was 1-1, but it was only 1-1 for 4 minutes as Celtic restored the lead. It was an awful mistake by Nicky Devlin, heading it back towards his own goalkeeper. He didn't realise Kyogo was behind him, and the Japanese striker does what he does, smashed home to make it 2-1. That was the half-time score. Matt O'Reilly adding a third with 6 minutes of the 90 to play to ensure that Celtic would start with 2 wins out of 2 at the start of their Premiership defence. Much for Aberdeen to be pleased about today, but you feel their squad, given they only used the one sub again today, I know there was a few players out injured, you feel they've got a heck of a lot of work to do in the transfer window in the 2.5 weeks that remain if they are to be competitive both domestically and potentially in the Europa League up against some serious big guns of European football, because the squad right now is nowhere near big enough to deal with the number of fixtures that they are going to face. They're going to have a lot of Sunday games to come in the months that will follow. It finishes here at Pittodrie in the first of today's 3 Premiership matches. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 3.